Oh no. Oh no. Where are our pictures? What happened? Hold on. I got this. I'm on it. There we go. I fixed it. Uh if there wasn't one technical problem, I don't think that this would be a Booze Bear stream. So yeah. Welcome you guys. I am the Booze Bear. I am a bartender in Texas. I'm a streamer over on Twitch. And now I'm a podcaster. And you know, hopefully we'll get better. So far it's been a smooth transition, right, Ivy? Um so yeah,
Working on it.
yeah, we're working on it. Exactly. We'll figure it out as we go, and wine helps. So welcome to the first episode of Bar Chats. Um like I said, I'm your host, the Booze Bear. And I am drinking some gnarly head wine because my guest tonight, we are both from Northern California. We've known each other for years and years. We are elementary school homies. This is Ivy Lee Ayers. She is a YouTube creator. Say hi, Ivy.
Hi, I'm
Oh
Ivy.
shit! I gotta. Oh god. No, I gotta resize your shit again. Uh-oh. What happened? Everything was going so well, and now you're like out of the box. Okay, so we'll edit this part
I
out.
don't stay in the box.
Yeah, yeah.
The box is for
You know
me.
what? We'll just keep you out of the box. Let's just keep you out of the box. You can't cage this lady. She is an overcomer, right? Um, so Ivy, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I'm Ivy. I just moved back to the US from Taiwan,
Mm-hmm.
where I lived for like 7.5 years because I couldn't stay there anymore because I became allergic to everything. Uh,
Literally everything. Just like
yeah.
it's been an ordeal, right? I
It's
mean,
been more than an ordeal.
yeah.
It's
Um,
it's been,
yeah. It's from what you've told me. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. What before we get into all that, what are you drinking?
I am drinking something called Wonderland.
Okay, that's a cool bottle. What is that? A Sauvignon Blanc? It looks like.
Yes. Yes.
Nice. I guess my old ass eyes do kind of work still. As I'm over here resizing your box, I'm trying to keep you in a box here. Um,
Try.
so the whole reason that I've even started doing this podcast is because of Ivy. Um, I reached out to her on Facebook recently, and we've had a really great time reconnecting, re-getting to know each other. We've been talking the last couple weeks, and she's told me a little bit about her story. So I'm gonna give you guys the sneak preview, and then we'll get into the nitty gritty. We'll talk about Ivy's life because it's very interesting. Um, Ivy lived the last 7.5 years in Taiwan, and what you'd say like about a year ago, you developed this reaction, this anaphylactic reaction to. Okay, well here's a good jumping off point. What what can you have?
What can I have? It's a
What
limited
what
list.
is safe? Yeah, what is safe for you?
For food, beef is safe and
Okay.
potatoes. There's a couple of things I've added to the list within the last couple of weeks, like carrots. That's about it.
Mm-hmm.
I had some chocolate the other day and I didn't die, so maybe chocolate.
Maybe chocolate.
Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah. And other than food, it's a real gamble.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, basically, there's some woods I'm not allergic to, and some like tile. I can touch tile,
Okay.
and glass is fine. Other than that, it's really just a gamble. Like, it's so unpredictable. It could be literally anything.
So essentially, like it's not even a case of what you aren't allergic to, or what you are allergic to. It's what aren't you allergic to. So right. So you've had, and this has probably been such a like a difficult thing to figure out. Like what you can have and what you can't have and what you can touch and what you can be around. I mean, like,
Yeah.
just like, why don't you like walk us through a little bit, like, what kind, like, how did this how did this like manifest? Like, what was your sorry, I'm having a brain fart here. Like, how did you notice, like, this started very subtly, I'm guessing, like.
Yeah, so it started with seafood.
Mm-hmm,
That's like really clear because seafood was the really obvious thing like in the beginning,
mm-hmm,
and then it was shellfish first, and then over like 5 years, it kind of slowly became all things from the water that I could not eat, and then it became smells in that time. Like I couldn't smell seafood or I would get sick, and then it just kept getting worse and more serious, and then there was a metal allergy that came up.
mm-hmm,
So I was allergic to nickel. And around that time, I kind of got tested for, I got a small patch test done, anyways.
mm-hmm.
And yeah, I was allergic to nickel and some other things. And then I started eliminating stuff out of my life because I was allergic to fragrances and like, everything in your house has a fragrance.
Right.
And then it just kept kind of going and going and going and going. And then it kind of calmed down for a couple months in the summer, and then suddenly it got way, way, way worse. And I was suddenly allergic to plastic one day. I just woke up and was allergic to plastic.
So explain to me, like, how it toned down a little bit, because I know that like a year ago is really when it kind of got intense and started getting
Right.
to to the point where, I mean, you're, like the title says, you're in an anaphylactic prison. So
Yeah.
like, walk me back a little bit, like, when you like, how did this progress? Like, how did you find out about your shellfish allergy? Like, let's start there.
Hmm. So the shellfish allergy I found out about, I kind of was aware of it because my grandfather has a shellfish allergy.
Mm-hmm.
And he warned me about in his 20s, he suddenly became allergic to seafood. And so he kind of gave me a heads up on that. So when I started feeling sick eating seafood, I kind of figured that that was what it was. Um, and then, but then the smelling part was really a surprise.
Yeah, because I mean,
um,
when
yeah.
something's like, I don't know a whole lot about anaphylaxis, but like when something's airborne like that, I imagine, like, how did you figure that out? Like, was it just like a.
I had been at work and I worked at a school, right? So they were serving the snack to kids, and in Taiwan they have seafood like everywhere.
Mm-hmm,
So they were serving a seafood snack to the kids. And then after work I left and I was walking home and I almost passed out like on the walk home. And I got really confused, like why I haven't eaten anything, I haven't had anything. I'm really, really very careful about it. So I discovered that I was triggered by the smells at that time because I really did almost pass out on the street. Like that was pretty scary. And then after that, I went to an allergist and talked to them, and they clued me in that it is possible to be allergic to airborne particles. Um, and then it was just seafood like for a really long time. And then, like I said, the metal allergy came in around that time too.
mm-hmm.
And that was like 2, 3 years ago that metal allergy started. But a year ago is when like I went to a cafe and all of a sudden I got really sick after having, I don't know what it was, some kind of drink. And then I was confused again because I was like, I haven't smelled seafood or had seafood or anything. So why am I getting sick? And then within a week, I couldn't eat anything at all. I literally just couldn't eat anything.
Wow. Uh,
Yeah.
I
My
I
body just broke.
I can't imagine going through something like that. So, like, did how, like, describe your reactions to me, like what were they like when you were first kind of discovering them, like walk me through the process. What were they like when you had just the shellfish allergy and you could manage it? What was it like? I mean,
Right.
you described a little bit what it was like when you could smell things, and then like what are the like, just give me kind of like an
Hmm.
evolution period of like what your symptoms have been, like your
The first thing,
reactions.
like when the seafood thing started, the first thing that happened was I had one um, reaction triggered that at first it was just like stomach pains and it was an intolerance in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like stomach pain and stuff like that, which just kept getting significantly worse like every week, basically, in the very beginning. And then I thought it was just shellfish, but then I ended up having a really bad reaction to some fish. And that I just couldn't stop vomiting like for like hours. And I called the ambulance and yeah, that's how I know like found out I was allergic to fish. So
Right.
with foods, if I eat it, it's really stomach issues, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's this element of like getting faint and like blood pressure dropping really quickly, which that's what happens when I smell stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'll get really faint and uh, yeah. And then it's different for everything. Like the reaction I have to different materials, for example, like if I put on cotton clothes, for example, my body gets really achy. Like at first I thought I had arthritis and I went to the doctor to get tested for arthritis
Right.
because I thought that's what it was because I was aching. Like my body was getting swollen and achy.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not arthritis. Everything's fine there. So I discovered that it's actually like the materials that I'm wearing are causing lots of pain and fibromyalgia type symptoms,
Okay.
which is like numbness in the skin and just pain everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever had any reactions where like, and I'm sorry if this is part of like the faint thing, like because when I think of allergic reactions, you know, especially when it comes to like smell or touch, I think of like peanut butter, right? People that have peanut allergies, especially like really bad ones, they smell it and then their throat starts to close up.
Yeah.
Or
So the first time my throat closed was with the metal allergy because I knew I was
really,
kind of allergic to metals.
mm-hmm.
So I had to stop wearing jewelry, right? And my ears got swollen when I had put on some earrings one time and then my ears got really swollen. So then I stopped touching metal for a long time. Oh, because I was using a spoon. My hand kept going numb because I was trying to eat.
Oh,
And then
interesting.
I was like really confused, like why does my hand go numb every time I try to eat? And then I figured out I had a metal allergy. And
So
then I
go ahead.
didn't touch metal for like a long time
Mm-hmm.
because the only thing you can do is just not interact with the thing that you're allergic to, right? So I
Right.
stopped touching it for a really long time. And then one day I was like, here's a piece of jewelry. I want to just put it on because I haven't worn jewelry in like months.
Yeah.
And then I put on a necklace and my throat started closing. Um, so that was the first time I experienced like the closing throat thing.
That's really interesting to me because again, like I know almost nothing about allergic reactions. The only allergic reactions I think that I've had when I was a kid, Taco Bell mild sauce and my stomach did not get along to the point where like I'm just cramping. Like I remember sitting under my dad's desk and just being a whiny
Oh my
little bitch
God.
because like my fucking stomach hurt so bad.
Yeah, so it's like that every time I eat food. And it was like that for like months and months. And then I discovered potatoes and I ate potatoes and beef for like 6 months straight.
You mean you
Which
you you rediscovered potatoes? I'm sure that you've had potatoes before.
yes, okay, I
Okay.
rediscovered potatoes. I discovered that potatoes were safe
Yeah.
and that they didn't cause pain. And then I ate potatoes and beef for 6 months. That's
I
all I ate for like 6 months.
I just picture you just discovering like, oh, I've never had a potato before, and
What's
you're
this
just like
food?
feeling the outside of it, like it's rough skin, and then you peel it, and it's just like, oh my god, and then maybe you like take a bite out of it
I
like an
bite it
apple.
like a
Yeah.
raw
I'm
potato.
like, oh, and
Uh,
then you just you cook it, and you're like, oh, okay, this is how, like you're the first person to discover
ever
potatoes,
eat a
you know.
potato.
So I mean, I guess like I see all of the frustrating parts of having
Yeah.
all of these anaphylactic reactions. I mean, like it's just trying to figure out what you can, especially what you can eat, but
I think that
also,
was like the most like in the beginning, that's what was really hard
mm-hmm,
is for the first like 8 months of because for like a year ago when it started, it was just foods, right? And I did have the metal allergy, but it was really just mostly foods that was causing all the problems.
mm-hmm,
And I spent like 8 months trying to find out like what I can even eat. Um, and then I guess once I had a kind of diet going, that's what, because before you were asking me like about when things kind of mellowed out, and that's what happened is I got control over the food part.
Mm,
And I was able to like figure out what foods I could have safely.
right.
And there was like 5 or 6 things that I could eat that I just kept eating all the time and stopped having reactions constantly. Because before that, I was having reactions every single minute. Every time I ate anything or every time I tried to eat anything, I would just be in anaphylaxis all the time. And then once I got control of that, I kind of things mellowed out a bit. For a couple for two about 2 months, I was really okay, like just not reacting constantly, I guess.
Yeah. Wow. Um. So you said it was like over the summer
Yeah.
that you kind of did that like was there some like relief there? Like what were you feeling
Yeah, I
like
felt
during?
awesome. I
Mm-hmm.
was like, oh, I'm great. Like I can just do whatever I want
Yeah.
now. Like I was like, I know that I'm still allergic to the foods and I have to be careful, like don't eat anything weird or don't smell anything like seafood or anything like that. But overall, I mean, I had a lot of energy because I finally built up my vitamins again because I had like a horrible, I mean, I spent 6 months eating potatoes, like, so I had no immune system at all.
Mm-hmm.
I was really scared actually because I was really scared because COVID was happening
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, I am going to get sick and not be able to recover from anything that I get sick from. Because my immune system was just completely shot.
Right.
So from the beginning of this year, January, until the summer, I just worked on getting as much vitamins as I could,
Mm-hmm.
which is hard because I'm allergic to vitamin pills too. And that took a lot of effort to figure out like what vitamins I could even have. Um, yeah. And
That's
then mm,
you're allergic to vitamin pills. Like I can. This is probably like just on right because you think like you look at a situation like this from the outside and you're like, oh god, that like you can't touch anything, you can't eat anything. That's that's the base of it for me. Like, oh, that's so frustrating. That sucks so bad. And then oh by the way, you can't get the vitamins that your body needs because you're
right,
allergic
that's
to
the
fucking
thing.
vitamins.
It's hard to imagine like what it's like to be literally allergic to every single thing because like you don't realize how many little details there are like
Mm-hmm.
throughout the entire day that you have to like get around. Like I feel like I'm just spending my whole day working around problems. Like every minute, everything I touch, it's like I have to like find a fix or find a solution or find something
Mm-hmm.
to cover it with that I'm not allergic to or whatever. And it's just like it's hard to I don't know, it's really hard to imagine how annoying of a
Well,
problem it is.
I feel like I'm an empathetic person, and I try to put myself in other people's shoes as often as I can, because I want to be more emotionally aware. I want to be more empathetic towards people, and like help like give them relief. Like that's something that I like about working at the bar is like I can help people forget about their shit. If you
Mm,
came into the bar, I don't think I could do that for you, and like that's such a trip to me. Like your entire day, right? I have to trick myself into going to the gym. I have to
mm,
motivate myself to clean my room because I'm a
yeah.
34-year-old fucking man child. Like you have to do these things to survive.
Yeah, I think that it took a really long time. I went through a really low point in the beginning of the year where I just gave up
Yeah,
on everything.
yeah.
I was like, this sucks, and
Mm-hmm.
I give up. And it took a lot to figure out like how to do that every minute of the day to be like, I'm just gonna keep going through every single detail of every minute. Yeah, it's I don't know. That's something I've thought about a lot, like how to keep myself going. It's not easy.
It's no, and I imagine that like we all experience things differently. We all
Yes.
like your problems are different than my problems. I try not to compare myself to other people, but I don't think that I can like my problems just seem so much like less significant than yours, like and that's something that I've really and why I'm very excited to have you on Bar Chats is because despite all of the odds that are stacked against you, despite all of the things that are happening in your life, you still manage to find a ray of sunshine. Like I just like, growing up with you, I always remember you being kind and very sweet, and just a thoughtful person. And I don't know, like now I just know how fucking strong you are on the inside, and it blows my fucking mind. It's honestly really inspiring, and I
Thank you.
can't. Yeah, of course.
Appreciate
No, thank you, because like honestly, um, it's been a really really big pleasure to get to know you again, and like, just kind of, I can never put myself in your shoes. I'll never know. Well,
it. So
nothing
that
personal.
that
I hope I don't know what it feels like, but
yeah, I hope you never do either.
but I mean, like, it sucks, and I just feel for you, and like I said, you're a huge source of inspiration for me.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
I think what you said is really key because like I've struggled with that a lot, and that's why I started my own YouTube channel, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
is because it's not relatable at all to
Mm-hmm.
anyone like what this is. And I'm also still in the like right in the middle of it. I don't have answers or I don't have like any medical help yet.
Mm-hmm.
So I was grappling a lot with like people not understanding um, what it's like to go through this.
Right.
And I mean, obviously, no one goes through this. Like, who has this problem? Nobody. So yeah, I was struggling with that a lot, and I think that's like why I even started my own channel is because I just needed to like put it out there, like
Mm-hmm.
into the world that this is happening, and like see that there's just I don't know, in case because for me, a lot of the times when I was struggling the most, I turned to the internet for help
Mm-hmm.
because I wasn't getting help that like where I was at, and I felt like I needed more information and I needed other people who have experienced at least something even along the lines of what I'm going through. And it helped me a lot to hear other people talking about their stories. And I feel like that's, kind of what I want to do too. Just like
Mm-hmm.
be there for other people who might be, even they're just allergic to one thing, like that's already bad enough.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I think that's an important thing for me.
So, do you think that kind of taps into that? I don't know. I the way that I would word it. Do you think that kind of taps into that protector side of you? Because I've always felt like you kind of you have that within you.
Mm.
Is do you think that's what inspired you to start your vlog on YouTube? And
Yes, so because I keep seeing people like it's really frustrating. The whole thing is frustrating, but one of the most frustrating things has been the lack of medical help that
mm-hmm.
I've gotten. Like I've just been brushed off so many times and by doctors and other, anyways, people who are supposed to help you.
Of course.
But I found that like in the groups that I was joining online, people who are also anaphylactic to things and struggling with this type of like severe life-threatening allergies,
Mm-hmm.
they're also getting brushed off. And I think maybe you're right, that protector kind of thing in me kicked in because I'm like, why? Like, why is everybody being brushed off the way they are or not believed that like the situation is as serious as it is? Um, yeah, that's definitely part of why I want to even have a channel about this topic.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you guys, the link to Ivy's YouTube channel, and I'll say this a couple other times, but it's in the description. I've watched her vlogs. They're very inspiring and they're very vulnerable. And I would really just like, if you're feeling down, I mean, she's just like, she's vulnerable, and I that's something I try to do on my Twitch channel. I try to be vulnerable. I try to let my emotions be on display. Um, she does that much better than I do. And she's a lot kinder than I am a lot of the time. But I wanna go back, and I have a question. These support groups, like, I'm guessing, are they like Facebook support groups, or like tell me more about them? Like, how many people are in them? Are there any success stories in them, or is it just like mostly frustration? Like give me like, paint a picture of these support groups that you've been joining.
The one I access the most is actually called it's an because Originally, a year ago, when I just became allergic to all foods, I was diagnosed with something called FPIES, FPIES. It's
Great
food
original name.
protein, yeah, food protein induced enterocolitis syndrome or something like that. But it's kind of it's a problem that babies have.
Mm-hmm.
So like when babies are being weaned off their mother's milk, they might have allergic reactions to solid foods or to baby foods and stuff to
Okay.
just as you're introducing new foods.
Mm-hmm.
And I had joined a group with for that specific problem to get information. But it's heartbreaking because there's like all these moms on there who are like trying to feed their kids, and a lot of them don't have help for the problem. And then I'm relating to the babies who don't have voices, right? The babies can't say what it feels like to
Mm-hmm.
be allergic to every single thing that you put in their mouth, like everything they eat, they're just like reacting to it. And
Mm-hmm.
it's from my grown-up point of view, like I just feel so heartbroken for all those moms, like to be watching their kids go through this and for the babies to be experiencing it. It's like really, really, really tough, I think. So that's the group that affected me the most because it's dealing with all these little kids, I think. And there's a disconnect because the moms have no idea what's
Of
happening. Like they
course.
cannot relate.
Yeah.
And I can relate to what the babies are feeling. And I'm like, stop feeding them the stuff. Like, stop.
Yeah.
But they have to, get their kids through it, and a lot of them don't have answers, and they come to the Facebook group to get help from other people who are going through it. And a lot of the advice from doctors is just it's just not helpful, to be honest. It's just not helpful. Um, and then they get advice from other moms who've been through it and their kids have lived through it and gotten past it because usually kids grow out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just watching all those little stories unfold over and over and over again, and how frustrating it is for everyone to like be dealing with doctors when they have these issues. It just gets me really worked up. Like that's the most significant group that I've paid the most attention to, I think.
Yeah.
Um, and then there's other groups, like for example, the seafood anaphylaxis groups. It's shocking to me how many people have gone through something very similar to what I went through with like when the seafood allergy first started. It took a long time for people to believe me that I was actually having anaphylaxis to seafood. Um,
The
and that was
gaslighting must be
yeah, it
frustrating.
was yeah, it was a really long
Beyond frustrating.
period of disbelief and like people minimizing the problem, people not believing me, and even medical staff like gaslighting me, telling me that I'm fine when I'm clearly not fine. Um,
You know,
yeah, that.
good,
mm.
good. Finish your thought.
I was just gonna say because the Facebook groups really helped me a lot. Like so many people are going through the same thing and they don't have answers, or they live in areas where allergies are not well understood, like
Mm-hmm.
where I was at. And so many people are going through that. It kills me to see all these people who are being disbelieved. That it drives me crazy.
And it kind of, I have nothing but respect for nurses and doctors. I've got a lot of nurses in my life, whether it's been coming to the bar or my sister-in-law is a wonderful person, very empathetic. She's brought a lot of her nurse friends over. Uh, but I feel like there's this, especially, and I'm gonna ask you more later on about like what your experience was like with Taiwanese
Mm.
doctors and whatnot. Um, but at least in the U.S., from what I've experienced, and y'all, if I come to the ER, like, don't. This is just an opinion, okay? Like, please still take good care of me. Like, I'm not
Sure, they
anti.
will. They're
I'm
caring
not.
people.
I'm not anti-medical, okay? I'm really not. So if I get hit by a car or something, like please stitch me up to like don't like give me any more back pain than I need or anything like that. All right? So that's my disclaimer before I say this. I feel like at least in the US, the for being such a progressively like at the forefront of so many different things, the medical situation is kind of bullshit. I went to the ER. I went to Petaluma Valley Hospital. I'm calling y'all out because, and my godmother worked at Petaluma Valley for a long time, but she's retired now, so I can say this. I fell down my stairs, okay? I was taking out the trash. I was drunk. I fell down the stairs. I hit the back of my head and I got 12 staples in the back of that.
Oh.
I took an ambulance ride. Like the cops found me in my backyard. I was mumbling to myself, whatever. I take an ambulance ride. I go to the ER. I'm there for like hours. $400. That's all they charged me. I had someone drive me to the ER that same year before that because I had hives. Like I broke out in hives and I was having trouble breathing. I was there for 15 minutes. They had the doctor come in to me, give me Benadryl, prescribe me antihistamines, and then like they had a medical reporter. You wanna guess how much that hospital bill was?
I don't know.
$2,000.
I was
So
gonna say 2 or 3,000, like because that's what it costs. Oh
so
my God.
yeah, but I mean, I took an ambulance ride. That's at least
Yeah, why did the
$1,000.
ambulance ride not cost you 1,000?
I don't know. I have no fucking idea. It might have been
It's so
because
random.
it
It's
might
so
have been
arbitrary.
because I was drunk and they just took me. Because I was bleeding pretty bad. All right, so it's not like my proudest moment. I know, but again, vulnerability. So what I'm trying to say is like the medical industry, like as much training and you know, like all this money that they spend on these medical degrees and all these like benchmarks that they have to hit, a lot of the time I think that there's a pride issue, and these doctors, some doctors are great and their bedside manner is
Yeah.
amazing and they listen to their patients and they genuinely care. And you can probably relate to this because you're a teacher and you've had a lot of the same teachers that I have. So I'm going to compare it to that. Some doctors go in there and they're in there for the right fucking reason. You know, they care about their
Yeah.
patients and they want to better their lives and like help them live normal lives. And then, you know, then there's like these like really curmudgeon-y doctors that are in it for the wrong reasons. It's the same thing as like that teacher that probably had that had great hopes and aspirations, and then like, you know, they just get shitty kids for 30 years and they're just like, fuck these little brats, you know, like I feel like that's the same thing for doctors, you know.
Yeah, it must be. I mean, I'm imagining from, standing in their shoes for a minute. Like it must be hard to keep doing it day in and day out, and I imagine it's tough.
Being around death all the
The
time, yeah,
doctors
absolutely. Sick
good
people.
and bad.
Mhm.
I feel like the problem is that, like, okay, I just came back to the US, so my whole medical situation happened in another country.
Mhm.
But I do feel it's a really similar, in terms of how they treat their patients. It's a very similar type of bedside manner kind
Mhm.
of culture. And a lot of the doctors there study here. So they do learn a lot of the same, they have a lot of the same background, as people here. And I just feel there's something, I mean, I didn't get the help I needed, like not at all.
No.
And that's really is sad. I think it's unfortunate. And then seeing all these stories of people online who are also not getting help that they need, like, I just think it's there's something broken in the system. Something's wrong. The patients are not getting what they need out of it. It's really, it's a big problem.
A lot of patients aren't, I don't think. And finding the right doctor is like, there's not a great way to do that. It seems like, you know,
I
like,
think that's the struggle I had, was like, how do I find the doctor I need? Because
mm-hmm,
there's got to be someone out there who's great, right? Like there's plenty of good doctors, and I saw so many good doctors, but they just couldn't help with the situation I'm having, and then weren't able to really pass me to the right
mm-hmm,
person. And I think yeah, it's been really, really, really a struggle to get any help, with what I'm going through.
right.
Yeah.
Um, so I want to go back a little bit here. So we discussed this before a little bit. Right. So like just to kind of recap where we've been, some of this developed, like this has been an ongoing thing for at least 5 years, but it really just kind of exploded and got out of hand like about a year ago.
About a year
Right?
ago,
Okay.
yeah.
So when you were younger,
Mm.
I wanna know more about your childhood. Like what was, because there's a lot of things that I don't remember from. We went to McNair School, y'all. It was go Falcons, blue and gold, yay yay, Warriors colors. Anyway, I remember McNear being pretty awesome, but
Yeah, it was fun. We had a good group.
we did have a good group. I think that we were problematic. I think
Yeah.
that we were
Bunch of
questioning.
troublemakers.
Yeah, we were a bunch of troublemakers, but I think there were a lot of really really um, intelligent people that came from that school that have gone on to do some of that has really translated into the real world versus my
Hmm.
34-year-old bartender ass. But like I've developed social skills that I feel like a lot of people don't have. Um, Tell me some of your memories from like and you know what, we're gonna do the timeline thing now. I know we kind of I think we did a good job, like kind of getting people to understand like what your reactions are like, what kind of caused it a little bit. But
Right.
I kind of want to like Tarantino it a little bit, but like in the middle. Or no, we kind of showed the end, right? No, it was the middle. I don't know. We didn't show the end yet, but we're doing a Tarantino thing. Okay, that's the best way I can describe it. So let's go back to the beginning a little bit. Um, I'm gonna self-serve a little bit. What were some of your memories from me in elementary school? And don't hold back. Like, lay it on me. Like, just some. They don't even have
No,
to be your
I have
favorite
good
memories.
memories.
It's
I
like
have good
maybe
memories of Justin.
maybe I walked by and like crop dusted your aisle in class one day or something like that. I just lay it on me.
No, I have good memories of you. You were a nice guy. You were nice to me.
That's
Um,
that's good.
yeah, we had a lot of classes together, I think,
Mm-hmm.
and you were a troublemaker.
Some things never change.
Uh, yeah. Memories of you. Well, okay, let me tell the first memory I have of you. How about that?
Okay.
So, first memory is first grade. And I was new because you all had gone to kindergarten together
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't. So I came in first grade and so I didn't know anyone. And I was really, really deathly shy. Um, yeah, so I wasn't talking to anyone either. But you came in, talked to me and asked me my favorite color. And I was like, I told you my favorite color. And then you were surprised because it wasn't pink or purple. And then I was like, what? Why? That doesn't make any sense. And you're like, because all the girls like pink and purple. And I was like, that doesn't make any sense, but it's hilarious.
So I was a mansplainer. Like I was trying to mansplain to you your favorite color is what you're saying.
Right at the age of 7. But then I remember that because I don't know, I was a weird kid and I just decided from that moment on to never tell anybody my favorite color ever again. And I kept it to myself all these years
Yeah. Yeah.
until now.
So that's kind of that's like a little memery that you do, or like you mess around with people. You don't tell people your favorite color.
I sure do. I just lie and tell them something, whatever I feel like telling them.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I mean, having gone on many dates and being single many times because of my boisterous and what's another nice word that I can use? Uh, Boisterous and I'm just gonna say obnoxious personality. Um, Sometimes you go on dates or you meet new people, in my industry, and people are like, "What's your favorite color?"
Do
Which,
they really?
yes, that's a
I
that's
only
a
get that question from my second graders.
well, it's a basic ass question. People still, what is your favorite color is still alive and well in the dating world,
Wow, I'm surprised.
and also the just meeting randos world. Um, so I know my crush's favorite color. Um, I'm sure that you guys can all guess if you've watched me stream on Twitch or you're looking at this background. My favorite color has been purple since I was in preschool. It's been pretty like Donatello's my favorite fucking Ninja
Hey,
Turtle for
Ninja
that reason.
Turtles. Maybe we
Mm-hmm.
connected over Ninja Turtles back in the first grade because
Nah,
I was
it was
run.
Power Rangers. It was definitely Power Rangers.
Okay.
I think you were right. Um, Maybe it was Ninja Turtles. I don't know. I was very into Ninja Turtles. Um, but I tell people that my favorite color is clear. Um,
Here.
Clear, yes. Which some people tell me that clear isn't a color. Um, Fuck you. Clear is a color, okay? So yes, I do a little bit of trolling when it's just such an absurd question, and like at least when I say clear, people ask me about it. People ask follow-up questions. It makes a boring question more interesting. So I invite you to do that to your second graders as well. Um, okay, so I asked you your favorite color. I remember
Hmm.
that we used to play a lot when we were kids.
Yeah.
I don't remember what I had for breakfast yesterday. But some things that I do remember is you're right. I was a troublemaker. I hated my second grade teacher, and I used to throw chairs and storm out of class, and
You did throw chairs. I do remember that.
no
You
one
threw
would
chairs
come
for.
looking for me. Like this is what growing up in the 90s was like, is like no one gave a shit. And
Yeah, you used to just like storm out, and
mhm,
then we'd all be like, "Where'd he go?" And then they'd be like, "I don't know," and you just go out.
no one came looking for me. It was so weird. All I did was go to the bath. Where was I gonna go? My house was too far to walk. I wasn't a very brave kid. Um, yeah, I just I never. Eventually, I would just come back, and I don't even remember getting in trouble. Honestly, like my second grade teacher was kind of a dipshit, and then I did it in third grade, and I Mrs. Ramirez was so awesome. I loved her so much. She was one of the teachers that made it to being like made it to retirement and still gave a shit about her kids. Um,
Hmm.
Mrs. Graham, my second grade teacher, when I started doing that, nope, gave no shits. Uh, I just don't think she liked kids. I don't think.
Your poor teachers.
Yeah, I
I mean,
really
as a teacher, I feel sorry for your teachers.
I feel sorry for my teachers too, but I was just such a pleasure to be around. Also, I think no, I'm just kidding. Okay, so that's your first memory of me.
Yeah.
Uh, what do you? Are there anything like? Okay, let's get into your family life. Like, what was? Were you homeschooled in kindergarten? I've never known this about you.
Technically, yes,
Okay,
but it's kindergarten. What is there to school on? I
I mean, I don't know. I learned a lot of
mean,
things in like
yeah, in first grade,
songs I
I
don't
was homeschooled
remember.
for kindergarten. Yes,
Yeah. Well, I mean, I remember you
and
being very, very smart too. I remember you being a smart kid. Um, I was going somewhere with this. Yeah. What was your family life like? And if you don't want to talk about that, I don't want to get too personal. If you don't want to, but like, I just kind of want to paint a background of like how you grew up and
hmm,
what life was like for you. So you can
it
go
was
into as
chaotic.
chaotic. Okay. Can you
Chaotic family
elaborate that
life.
on a bit?
Yeah, because my parents divorced when I was right before first grade.
Okay.
And then yeah, I have a very eclectic family. I don't know, a melting pot family.
Okay.
It's kind of like just random people put together to create a family. We kind of collected ourselves together into a little family. So it was me and my dad and my sister, and then my stepmom, kind of, and then her grandkids came to live with us. So
Okay.
that was like all in elementary school.
That
Um,
really is a melting pot because that's not just like a Brady Bunch situation where it's like, oh, like these three kids and these two kids, and we're
yeah, it's
family
more like
now.
we just took people from random places and put them together in a house
Yeah, that's
and said, "This is family."
that's that's not unlike what my living situation is now, but obviously it's very different because I'm older. Um, so is your mom like who did you who were you raised by? Like, it's okay. So it sounds like you were raised by your dad.
Yes, I was raised by my dad
Okay, so
and my
just
stepmom.
describe your relationship with your dad, like growing up.
We're
Now
really close.
you're really
Me and
close.
my dad
Okay.
are close. Yeah, I'm just like him, I guess.
You're just like
Pretty
him.
similar.
Okay, you're like
Yeah, I'd
his
say I'm
mini
pretty
me.
similar.
Okay,
Huh?
you're like
Yeah.
his mini me. So do you guys share hobbies or like what makes you close? Like what do you guys bond over? Like
I think our views on life. I think that's how we interpret life and how we handle things, how
okay,
we handle stress. I learned a lot of that from him, I'd say. Um, Staying joyful and even when things get hard and not
okay.
taking things too seriously.
So
Yeah, that's all coming from him.
so you would you say that has kind of given you that, because now that I hear that, it kind of plugs with the whole like this situation fucking sucks, but you're handling it.
Yeah,
I'd say you're
yeah,
handling it well. So would you say that that came from your dad?
definitely. I've definitely in the past year since this all like got really bad, I think that's my dad's one of the people I've leaned on the most. Um, Reached out a lot to get advice about how to even like continue moving forward, and like he's always stayed positive no matter what. Like not positive, like it's not like an unhealthy positivity,
Right. Toxic
it's
positivity is the thing.
yeah, it's not that. It's a very genuine, like things suck sometimes, but you can still find joy and beauty in anything around you and appreciate the littlest thing. Like just having gratitude for the littlest things lifts you up throughout the day. And you have to keep doing that to counter how negative things can be sometimes. Um, so that really, yeah, he's definitely instilled that in me.
Your dad
Yeah,
sounds like a really incredible guy.
I think so.
I hope I get to meet him someday, because I don't remember if I've ever met him or not. But
Probably not. My family was pretty not in the school loop.
hmm
Yeah, we had a lot of our own stuff going on. So
yeah, it sounds like it.
yeah,
So and then you grew up. It sounds like you're still pretty close with your sister from what you've told me.
yeah,
Tell me a
yeah.
little bit about her.
I have two sisters. I have an
Okay.
older sister and a younger sister. My older sister and I were really close most of our lives, and then for a while we stopped talking because we had to kind of go deal with our own selves.
Mm,
And but now we're back to being really close again, which I'm really grateful for because she's been there throughout this whole ordeal. She's helping me out, especially right now. She's really helping me with getting into the American medical system. I have to get back into it after being out of it for so long.
yeah.
So she's really pulling through for me on that. And then my younger sister, my stepsister, is yeah, we're close too. We also had to separate for a while, but at this moment we're close.
I think that's just necessary. You kind of go through growing pains as an adult,
I
and
think
you
so.
you kind of have to separate from people that maybe were very supportive of you when you were younger, and that's something that's helped me with my family situation. My mom's side of the family is so tumultuous, and I always told myself I would never be like that with like how her sisters were with her, and you know what, that's, if you guys want to hear that story, this is not about me. We're telling Ivy's story. You guys want to hear shit like that, just ask me on my stream. My links in the bio. Also, I stream like 5 days a week. So but what I'm trying to relate to is my brother and I, not the brother I live with now, my brother that kind of gave me that same kind of like the same kind of support that it sounds like your dad gave you. My brothers are both 18 years older than I am, and this brother taught me how to question things, and
Mm,
like just he gave me a very inquisitive nature. Like he taught me how to manifest things through positivity, which I've been a very negative person most of my life, and a lot of those lessons I didn't apply until I got much older, and I still don't apply them as much as I want to. But I didn't talk to that brother for probably a year and a half, 2 years. Well, when I went missing in Mexico, which I think I think I told you that story again.
and I don't think so.
Oh, I didn't. Okay, well,
Missing in Mexico? I don't remember
I'm
that.
gonna have to. No. Again, this is not about me. I'll tell you after stream.
Mm,
Well, like I've told that story a million times on my stream. But what I'm trying to say is, yeah, like sometimes you just get older,
yeah, you have to
and like
step
other,
away
yeah,
and
step away, and other
grow up a
people's
little
issues
bit.
sometimes, and like
Right.
sometimes it's your own issues, and these people that you were very close to, that part doesn't go away. There's like a hurt, like
Yeah.
almost like if it's a cake, right? There's like a hurt frosting on top that you kind of got to clean off the foundation
Yeah.
of the cake first, and you gotta work through your own things, and
I think
um
that's for me, that's like the silver lining in this. I don't know, I feel like that's a cheesy term, but that's really what it is like, I'm coming back from being abroad for almost 8 years,
yeah.
and I haven't really been in touch with people over the years. And I don't know, coming back, I do feel a lot of like reconnecting with people who I haven't been close with for a long time. And it's really nice to. reconnect and rebuild those relationships.
And
Yeah.
you know, that's when you were talking about your dad telling you about or like, you know, finding, I guess you didn't use these words, but I'm sure that it kind of translates back, like the whole silver lining thing. You, if you're in a situation like that, like you have to find that. So I think if I were in your situation, and correct me if I'm wrong, because like again, I don't want to sound ignorant or anything, but like I really feel like it's the blessing in it, as much as it's not a blessing whatsoever. You probably appreciate the foods that you can have a lot more.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, I celebrated the first time I ate something other than potatoes.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
was
oh,
like,
I bet. And like, and
I was
something.
like, holy cow, this is the most amazing thing I've ever had in my life.
What was it?
At
Like,
that time, I think I had a salad at that time, which I can't have salad now.
uh,
But at that time, I did eat a salad, and it was just the most tastiest thing. I was like, I've never been so thrilled to have greens in all my life.
what?
Everything tastes amazing. Like literally, just yeah, I developed a deep appreciation for food.
What I wouldn't give for salad to be exciting.
Right? Like most people.
uh,
No, I actually can't. Like vegetables is the hardest thing for me. I can't have like any leafy green type of things. That's the most troublesome stuff. So when I do get something that goes well, it's I definitely celebrate.
yeah, it's the little victories in life that help you appreciate that. I mean, I think that
Yeah.
that's something that we take for granted. Even foodies, right? It's just like, you know what? When I moved away from San Diego, and again, not the same thing, but you know, analogies. When I moved away from San Diego and I found out that I like burritos where I live in Texas, I have to go to like Chipotle. Like I go to Burger King for breakfast burritos now. Like these are not, I'm spoiled. Like I'm used to like walking a block and paying $6 for a bacon and papas and fried egg
That's
breakfast
so good.
burrito, right? Sorry, I'm not trying to make you hungry. Um but I'm used to that. I'm used to just having that whenever I want. I'm used to crossing the
Yeah.
street and getting fucking Thai food. We take that shit for granted all the time. And then when it's
Right.
gone, it's just like, you know, you want to
I
talk
think,
about.
yeah, in the very beginning when I started having the seafood problem, oh my God, I still to this like, I started having seafood problems 7 years ago, okay? And to this day, I still dream about sushi. I still can't sushi was my favorite food before. And like that's the one thing I just like can't get over it. I'm like I still miss it. And some days I think maybe I'll try it, but then I remind
You
myself
know
that
what?
that was
I have some hope for you. I have hope for you. I'm hoping that I don't know, when it comes to vegetables, like I, you know what, this to me this is so interesting. Like this feels like a Netflix drama, and I don't want to make a drama out of your life, but it's an entertaining story, right? It's fascinating, honestly.
I like hearing that because when I'm living it, it's like not entertaining at all. Obviously, it just sucks.
Yeah.
But like I did start a YouTube channel to talk about it, and
Mhm.
it helps to hear that people think it's interesting, because otherwise, what's the point of me having a YouTube channel if
Oh,
it's not interesting to listen to,
100%. Yeah. I think it's very interesting, honestly. I think I mean, I've never heard of something like this.
Neither have I.
Yeah, and
But here I am.
you're living it. You have the joy of living one of the most difficult lives that I've ever heard. And
I hope that it just disappears eventually. I was hoping with like when I moved that it would just kind of stop,
yeah.
but that didn't happen.
Well, so like I said, like it's like almost like a Netflix drama to me. I feel like I don't know, maybe there's like a pesticides thing going on with the vegetables. I don't know, but
Okay, that's definitely something that comes up in the Facebook groups a lot is like, what are they spraying on the foods that's causing people to react to it, right? And that's something like that. One of the big reasons I decided, like, I kind of had to come back to the US, but one of the reasons that I wanted to come back was because I wanted to dig into this a lot deeper. Like, what is
Mhm.
actually going on here? What am I actually allergic to? I need like way more extensive testing done than what was available in Taiwan. Um, because there has to be something like, is it pesticides? Is it fertilizers? Is it uh, I recently heard that like between the farm and the grocery store, they wash the vegetables and somebody's allergic to that process, like whatever chemicals are in that process. Like there's so many things involved with our food that we're not aware of, um, from start to finish, right? Like all along the way, our food is being processed. And what along the line, like what along that route am I actually allergic to? Is there a common thing that I'm having trouble with? Or, I mean, I have so many questions about that. Um, and I'm hoping that being in the US, I'll be able to find the right medical staff who's going to be able to kind of dig into that with me and figure it out.
Have you tried growing your own vegetables?
I have not, but because in Taiwan I wasn't able to. Here I would be able to. But my friend just told me, and this shocked me, and this might be something to like that I have to look further into. She's a really good gardener. Amazing. Okay, so I've been eating her vegetables or her foods. I've been trying foods from her garden
Uh-huh.
recently. And she informed me that she uses fish emulsion to fertilize all of the plants before, like when they're like young plant, like seedlings. And so she was saying, "Hey, I use this fish emulsion like on all my plants. Is it possible that like the plants are sucking up the fish emulsion and then I'm reacting to the fish when I eat the vegetables?" And I was like, mind blown. I have no idea, but that's something for me to really look into.
I wonder how
Um,
common of a process that is.
she said it's really common. And then because I lived in Taiwan, which I couldn't eat any vegetables at all over there. Um, then they eat there. It's an island, so they do a lot of seafood,
Mm-hmm.
and it would make a lot of sense if they were using fish emulsion as a
Of
fertilizer.
course. Yeah.
So that was something that really I just learned that the other day, and like I have to really dig into that.
That's
Yeah,
wow. I mean, you're being forced to learn these things, but like how
yeah,
fascinating is that just on its own? Like I wonder,
right. Like
and
who knew?
it seems like
I had no idea.
you're very sensitive to the things that you are allergic to, like almost like that peanut reaction that I was talking about earlier, like
Yeah.
how it just being airborne, like and our foods are they're not natural, you know. It's easier to mass produce them
I think
when
that's
you
what's open. Like my eyes have been so like pried wide open because like there's so many things we don't know. Like when I'm allergic to a vegetable, for example, it's like I have no idea. Am I allergic to the actual vegetable or like the whole process getting it to me from the farm? Like there's so many unknowns all along the way. And that just once you like think about it, you really think about how many steps there are like that we're not aware of when it comes to food that we're eating, that it becomes like I don't know, it's just crazy like that we don't know anything about the food we eat.
well, I mean, I get it, and I don't want to relate to food sources or again, you know, big pharma or whatever, but when I'm at work, yeah, I take shortcuts sometimes, you know. I make sure like it's got to be good enough, you know, but I mean like I feel like that's the way that the food industry is, like how much, like look at all the bullshit that McDonald's puts in its food, like it's kind of just like a good enough kind of thing, or like
Mm.
we'll cut these corners cuz this isn't technically poison, but it's just like it really blows your mind, like just how many people or how these big corporations and governments, like they just don't really give a fuck about you, like and why would they don't know you, like the, how many times have you heard about someone being like, yeah, I don't feed my family that shit, like so I mean when you talk about these kind of things, like it kind of makes the world and the way that it works like make a little bit more sense, you know, because
Mm.
someone like you that's like sensitive those to those things, you're gonna notice those things now and that's why I started this podcast too, is because talking about this, it's making me think, it's making me
Right.
think, and it's making me want to research all these things and be careful what I put into my body and stuff, because even though it's not affecting me in a way that I maybe notice, you know, like it is definitely affecting me, I'm sure it is.
I think the one like the even bigger thing, like eye opener, is the plastic allergy. Because like I mean, think about it. Literally everything is made of plastic.
Mm-hmm.
It's literally everything.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to get away from plastic. Believe me, I've been trying for like weeks now. I don't know. It's been my plastic allergy started in August, I think.
Oof.
And now it's what, November? So I've been, it's just been really crazy to, I don't know, become aware of just how much plastic there is, um, and just how hard it is to get away from it. That's been the one that's really blown my mind. I don't know, that really opened up my eyes to how the world works.
Yeah, I'm just
Yeah.
like looking around my room, and like probably 70-80% of the things that are in here are plastic. So yeah,
Yeah.
that definitely makes sense. Um, sorry, I was looking at chat for a minute. Craven's definitely hyping us up. Shout out to Craven, that guy's awesome. He's one of my followers over on Twitch. Um, I'm sorry that I can't answer chat right now. By the way, guys, we are going to do a question and answer portion at the end of the podcast. Um, so write down your questions before you forget them. Okay, so we went over your family situation a little bit. I'm really glad that we've been able to paint such a broad picture of your reactions and what you can have and what you can't have, and you know, I feel like I think we're telling your story pretty good here for this being the first the first podcast. And there's a lot of filler, but you know, I'll get used to that. You're doing great though. Like you're
Thank you.
fucking killing it. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm gonna refill my wine right now while we're taking a little chat break.
Cheers to you. Um, yeah, you got to refill the wine. I don't know if you guys can hear that wine pouring ASMR. I'm gonna guess not, but as we go into things too, I think the wine is helping. I'm about a half a bottle deep, so that's definitely helping. This is gonna
I'm
be
not
more.
allergic to the wine. I'm not
Yes,
allergic to the wine.
yes.
I should say that because like
Okay.
I don't know, it's the one thing that I discovered I could have.
Cheers. Cheers
Cheers.
to still being able to drink your problems away. I'm just kidding. Don't do that. So before you told me that you had a lot of medical problems in junior high and high school that you had to miss. Can
Yeah,
you?
I did. And I think that's like because you were talking about the American medical system, and
Mhm.
that's the time when I had the most disappointment in the medical system here. Because like some things had popped up early on in life,
Mhm.
some symptoms that could have pointed out some type of allergies at that time that were just kind of brushed off or explained away by other things or just kind of disregarded. And perhaps had I like been able to address those things earlier on in life, maybe it wouldn't have gotten to this severe of a situation now.
Mhm.
So yeah. Hmm.
What are some of those things, like when you were a kid? Do you remember anything like specific? Because you were saying I don't think you didn't have a shellfish allergy then.
No, I didn't. The thing that there's a couple things that really stand out to me. Um, the first one was running on the track. Because like in elementary school, we didn't have a track. We ran on the grass, right?
Yeah,
And
the
on
grass,
the
or I think we had a track, but it was a
asphalt, maybe.
300-meter track, and it was on asphalt. Correct.
Right. So I didn't have any problems. I ran a lot in elementary school. I really
Mhm.
enjoyed running. And then in junior high, I also ran a lot, and we also didn't have a track. And I was doing track. I was on the track team in junior high. And then in high school, I was thinking to join the track team, but then in the first year of high school, I suddenly just couldn't run anymore.
Mhm.
I just started having all these problems. Like I just couldn't breathe when I was running. And then I went to the doctor and I was like, hey, I can't breathe when I'm running. It's like really bizarre. Every time I run, I just can't breathe anymore. And then that doctor had said, he didn't do it. There was no testing done. I think that's what frustrates me is like at that time, I really wish they would have done some tests. Like, what do you have going on? Like, why
Mhm.
can't you breathe when you're running? Right. Like, I was only, what, 14 years old? I don't know.
Yeah.
And like, it was odd that I couldn't run anymore after all these years of being a runner. Right. And then they didn't do any testing or anything. And then just gave me an inhaler and told me I had sports induced asthma. And so I used the inhaler when I went to PE class.
Uh-huh.
Didn't help that much. And then that was it. And then I ended up like just dropping out of track, dropping out of sports, and doing sports that were not on the track basically, which was just by accident. But I ended up choosing other sports that I could participate in. And yeah, I think like at that time, like that stands out to me a lot because the track in high school was made of rubber and like whatever that material that
Yeah.
tracks are made out of,
Well,
right?
I'm sure
And then it would
it was an all-purpose track. I remember I was actually on the track team. I think freshman year,
mhm.
maybe freshman sophomore year. I did track, and yeah, it was like an all-purpose track. You guys see them all the time when you're flying over. I'm sure you've seen them a lot when you're like flying into new cities or whatever. The high schools, if you're looking out the window, it's like the brown track with you know, the white painted lanes and stuff is very very typical for high schools.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what they're made out of, but you know what's interesting to me though is when we were in elementary school, and I know that you had participated in this. I actually got suspended and couldn't go my fifth grade year, but sixth grade I went and I won my heat and whatever. But we ran on that same track,
We
so
did, but I think the difference is that it was just one, one day on the
mhm.
track versus in high school when we were out there every day
Yeah.
running for the whole period, right? Every day we'd go out and
So
run.
you don't remember any like reaction or anything that you had when we were on that track in elementary school?
It smelled really strong. Like it always smelled strong to me. But I just thought that was normal. I
Okay.
just thought that like it just smelled like that. Um,
So
yeah.
when you say it smelled really strong, like what do you mean by that? What like can you describe the smell? Like does it smell like anything specific or does it just
Just like
smell like
rubber, like
okay.
tires, like a rubber smell. Yeah.
That's really interesting to me because you've in the chats that we've had a couple times, like you sound like you have a really acute sense of smell.
Yes, I believe I do.
Yeah, because
um,
good.
yeah. No, I was just gonna say that that's been like a real, I don't know what the word is, but like it's when the seafood allergy started and the smell started being a problem. Like I literally thought I was going crazy because I could smell things that nobody else could smell. And I'd be like, there's fish in that. And they're like, no, there's not. And I'm like, yes, there is. I can smell it. Can't you smell it? And they're like, no, no, we don't smell anything. And it just, that happened to me so many times over and over again. And I'd be like smelling fish and people would be telling me there's not any in there. And that's into the whole gaslighting thing again. Like,
Hmm.
being told that it doesn't exist when I can clearly smell it. And I realized that maybe it's me being able to smell things more. I don't know. I'm very sensitive to smells, I guess.
I mean to me that almost seems like a superpower, you know, like and this isn't me gaslighting you either. I believe you. Like I
Yeah.
very genuinely believe you. I but I also get that like to me that it just seems very outlandish that you have that kind of sense of smell. So like when you just like you mention it very casually like and guys like so I got back from Hawaii on it's 2021 in case anyone's watching this years later. I got back from Hawaii. It's November 21st. I got back from Hawaii on like October 28th. So we started really kind of unpacking this stuff on October 27th. Um,
Hmm.
and the way that you mentioned the smell thing, it was just so casual to you. And
Yeah.
so it almost seems like it's a superpower. And again, I'm not doubting you, but that's like that was like the most outlandish thing to me. And I'm not gonna say that this is proof that Ivy is telling the truth. But here's an example. So you described to me that you were feeling a little well over the next couple days you were feeling a little out of sorts, you know, like I think right you told me that like sometimes you get like a little loopy when you have anaphylactic
I was getting
reactions.
real loopy. I was like, I can't think and I don't know what I'm saying right now.
But she said that she smelled like there was something there and
Yeah.
she smelled plastic and
Yeah.
two different plastic bags and it was like I don't want to say it was like night and day uh like our
Yes.
interactions the way that we
Yes.
were able to talk, but I think that your demeanor, the
Yeah.
way that you articulated things, the way that you were reacting to things that I was saying, I think I would say it was like afternoon and midnight. you know, like not quite, you know, like morning night, but like, yeah, it was definitely a noticeable difference. And she found two
Yeah.
plastic
The
bags.
plastic
Mm-hmm,
the plastic gets to me. That messes with my head.
mm-hmm,
Like I just cannot think. It just my brain shuts down. All cognitive function goes away.
mm-hmm.
And I'm literally just like I have no idea what's happening. I get really loopy with that. So yeah, that was a really clear example of it. Because and that on that day, I had like I went out of the house to clear my
Mm-hmm.
nose so I could smell better. And then I like came back after a few minutes and yeah, then I could really smell it. Like there's a plastic bag in here somewhere. And I was like searching through my room, like, where's the plastic bag? It
Yeah,
has to be here somewhere. I can smell it. Yeah,
kind
and
of
then there were two.
resetting your nose taste buds a little bit. Um,
Yeah.
which and I don't think a lot of people know this, but I being here's some science that I know from my profession, which is very fun for me to say. When you, I mean, y'all will notice it when you're just tasting beer, when you're tasting whiskey, when you're, especially beer or wine though, I think that has like a lot more subtleties to it. Whereas like whiskey or tequila or anything, but anything you're tasting, specifically beer and wine, you swirl it a little bit, right? Because that activates the tannins and all that stuff in it, and then you kind of like, well, I'm just getting straight booze from this. It smells like fucking gasoline to me because I never fucking. But if this was a beer, I'd be like, oh, this is like hoppy. It's probably got these hops in it. Like, you like when you're tasting something, you like waft it towards you. Sometimes, like your nose can and you know what? I'm gonna get this stat wrong. I'm just gonna say it on the like over 20 things your nose can identify. Over 20 smells. Your taste buds about 5. So your nose is a much
Yeah.
more powerful thing. So the fact that you might just have a killer palate. You might just be able to discern things. Like you could be like maybe a master sommelier if it weren't for
Maybe
the
I should
fact.
try that out.
Yeah, well there
I've
you
never
go.
done it.
Yeah,
Gotten
right.
into that before.
I mean, especially if you're not allergic to beer. I mean, there's master cicerones,
Yeah.
and many of them are women. I would say, I haven't kept track of that in like 10 years, but there used to be like 5, and like 2 of them were in the Bay Area, and there were 5 in the world, 2 of them in the Bay Area, and like I think 2 or 3 of them were women, which I think is great, because the beer industry needs more ladies in it. Because it's just been a boys club, but that's a story for another day. So yeah, it makes sense to me that you went outside and you reset. You had like a palate cleanse for your nose, and then you could kind of.
We have like a whole system.
Mm-hmm,
It involves coffee and taking walks.
mm-hmm.
Because
That
I mean, I heard that coffee resets the olfactory system
yeah,
pretty well.
no, that makes
So
sense. It's like a palate
I
cleanser
drink
for
a
your
lot of
nose.
coffee.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
thank God you're not allergic to coffee. I don't know if that would be one thing.
There was like 2 months where I couldn't drink it, and I was really upset.
That's
I
so.
was like, please, God, tell me no.
So
Like,
this
this is
fluctuates.
not happening.
This is a thing that like sometimes you can and sometimes you can't.
Yeah, it fluctuates. It fluctuates.
That's got to be even more. Again,
it's frustrating.
I'm not a medical expert. I'm not going to tell you to wear a mask or not wear a mask. Wear a mask. But
Please wear a mask.
get the vaccine. Anyway, what I'm saying is like I'm not a medical expert, but I like to deduce things. I like to think about things like this. It almost seems like I wonder if like these, and again, this kind of goes back to my earlier theory. And if you want me to shut the fuck up about my theories, please just tell me. But
Let me hear. I'll take all the theories I can get.
It almost makes me wonder if like all of these unnatural chemicals that you smell like fuck with your immune system. Like
that's entirely possible. Like we don't know anything about it. Like I mean, so many of these things have crossed my mind. Like it's possible. Like, I have no idea actually.
Mm-hmm. So
Yeah.
I want to ask you about Taiwan a little bit. Or actually,
Okay.
no, let's not quite get to that yet. You missed quite a bit of school. You were being gaslit by doctors, pretty much your whole life.
Mm.
where did you go to college?
Because in high school, I was going to tell you about the other thing that
Oh
like
yeah,
stood
yeah,
out.
yeah. Let's go back to that,
Because like there
and
was
then
the
we'll continue.
track that I
Mhm.
was clearly allergic to
Right.
that nobody acknowledged. And then there was when I got braces. Oh my God, my life was hell during that period of 2 years where I had braces because I'm allergic to metal, and which no one knew.
Yeah.
And oh my God, I used to get migraines like crazy, and I really literally missed so much school because of that. And during that whole period of time, it was like I just was so out of it. I remember in high school there was one time where I was like, I don't know, like I said, I get loopy or something when something goes wrong with these allergies,
Right.
and I just remember it being so bizarre. Like I just was having the most bizarre experiences, and yeah, I think like looking back in hindsight, it's probably because I had a mouthful of metal that I was having so many symptoms like migraines, and I was like hallucinating every once in a while. And that probably has to do with having metal in my mouth for way
Hmm.
too long. um, so yeah, that was the other one that really stands out. Yeah.
Yeah, that's. I remember having braces and just breaking them all the time. So,
Yeah,
be,
braces, I mean, they're painful,
mhm.
like for everyone. But I feel like my experience was a little bit extreme,
Yeah, it sounds like
which
it.
I didn't know. I think that's the thing is like when you're living through something like that, you don't know that it's more odd than anybody else. You just assume that everyone goes through the same thing.
Hmm.
And that's what I just always guessed. Like with the track, I was like, well, a lot of high schoolers get asthma. Okay, I have asthma, but I didn't have asthma anywhere else other than on the track. So it just I don't know, it was so easily explained away by
You justify things, and when you're a kid, like,
right.
you don't really know how to advocate for yourself. You don't really
Yeah.
know how to put down your foot. And I feel like as an adult, I really don't know how to do this. A lot of times, it's like people say something, or people paint a picture of you, or paint a picture of something, and they're just pulling the wool over your eyes. You know, people are manipulative because they're fucking lazy, and some people
Yeah.
are manipulative because they're bad people. But I think most people just try to. I mean, I do it. It's like, yeah, we don't have that. Yeah, I just don't feel like making it. It's a
Right,
bitch. I'm busy. I'm
exactly.
busy.
Which that behavior doesn't belong in the medical system, let me tell you. Like
No.
like on a bar, at a bar, it's fine.
At a bar,
But like
I'm gonna make you something that's good still. Like, I know more than you, and you need to shut the fuck up and just let me. I know how to ask you questions. I know what your flavor profile is based on those questions. Look, just fill out my survey and let me get you a drink and fuck off. Okay?
right. Which is totally fine in a bar. But in
And
the medical system, which I just like the way you're describing it, I have just experienced that exact same like process
yep,
and like the exact same
yep.
thinking process from doctors and like literal people who are supposed to be saving my life,
Hmm.
like in like doctor's appointments. I've gone through that over and over again where they're just like, well, I know more than you do in their, I don't know, I'm assuming what they're thinking, but that's how it feels from my
Hmm.
perspective is that like they just don't think that what I'm experiencing is real.
Of
And
course,
I'm
yeah.
like,
But my job isn't life or death. I mean, it is if I
right.
serve you too much, and I'm still responsible. I'll be like, hey, bro, I don't think you should drive. I caught a dude trying to drive after I told him no, and then I made him get in his fucking friend's car. This happened very recently. Uh, I feel like doctors are probably also very vague in certain situations, so they don't get served for or sued for malpractice. But what I was trying to say is, like, I serve you a beer, I serve you a cocktail. Uh, it's not the end of the world if you don't fucking like it. I'll take it off the bill, or I'll get you something else. Like, it doesn't matter if I'm wrong. Also, there's like 15 drinks with like a couple variants. Like, I'll make something for you, and it'll be fine. Um, there's like a million different medicines that do a million different things with a million different side effects. Uh, you can have a skin condition. You can have, like, there are more organs in your bodies than there are, like, types of drinks. Pretty much is what I'm saying. There's so much more shit to know as a doctor.
Right.
Like, I'm a bartender. Like, if I'm basically every bartender is a family practitioner, right? Like, I don't want a family practitioner to do fucking surgery on my leg. I don't want a family practitioner to, like, if I have cancer, like, nah, dude, I don't want you to do chemo on me, whatever. I don't want you to decide if I need chemo or
I think that's
radiation
what I've
or
appreciated,
pills.
like with the doctors that I have like interacted with, like the ones that I appreciate that really did help me,
Hmm.
and got me kind of in the right direction at least to get some answers,
Yeah.
are the ones who were willing to admit when they didn't know enough, or they'd be like, "This is how much I can help you, and this is how much I know, and then we
Hmm.
need to pass you on to somebody who knows more, or who knows a different thing, or who specializes in something else." And having doctors who are like willing to say when they're like reaching their own limit of knowledge, and
Yes.
being able to look into things more, or pass you on to someone, or ask questions to other people, that I really appreciate that of a doctor. Like that's so valuable.
Here's the telling thing is like the fact that the phrase is even well known enough but so prevalent. I'm going to go look for a second opinion. Like
Yeah,
doctors are fucking human, man. Like
exactly.
medical technology has taken off so much, but people are still human. You know,
Right.
people and people are prideful and arrogant and don't want to admit they're wrong. When it comes to something that's way out of my fucking league, yeah, I'll lead through a situation as best I can. But even in this podcast, like I watch so many videos on how to interview and how to structure things, and I'm still like, you know what, episode 10 I'll probably be hitting my stride, I'll be great. But once season 2 hits season 3, again, you learn and you seek out that
Right.
knowledge. But the fact that I'm gonna look back on this episode and be so fucking cringy, like it's gonna be so cringy to me. But I'm doing my best. You know, you can't do that in the medical field, man. You gotta admit you're wrong, and sometimes like people are always gonna be better at things than you are, and you gotta be humble about that shit. Like that's just
I
a
think
good
like
lesson for life.
the ones like being humble is good, because like I think also that like I've had some doctors who have really helped. Okay, it's not
Of
all like,
course.
it's not all of them not helping, but the other ones that have really helped have been the ones who were willing to humor me. Like when I was like, "Hey, I really don't feel well. I really need you to check this out. Like let's look at more things." And then the ones who had humored me actually did end up finding things that were wrong. And I feel like that was really valuable too, for them to be humble enough to be like, okay, my patient really wants more from me. Let me give them more. Let me just go with it for a minute and see
Hmm.
what else there is to see. And I think that was something that I appreciated out of medical stuff as well. Yeah.
Um. Okay. So I think we've touched base on a lot of things. I kind of want to get more into the nitty gritty, right? So we've kind of told this story of like who you are, what you've been through, what you're going through. Um, I want to know about Taiwan, okay? Because Taiwan, and I have some off-topic questions about Taiwan that I wanted to get your opinion on. Um, we won't go into that too much because honestly, I didn't think that Anaphylaxis was gonna be like so bulky and so awesome and such great content, and so Well, I knew it was gonna be interesting, but I didn't know that I was gonna have so many questions or be
Mm.
this fascinated about it. I knew I was gonna be fascinated about it. So you moved to Taiwan after college, right? Or no, you
After,
were you were still getting your master's.
right, I went twice. So the first time I went after, right after college, and stayed for less than 2 years. And then the second time was after my master's,
Okay,
like at the end of my master's. I
right.
finished it while I was there.
And you moved there for a guy.
Yes.
Can you why don't we bring him up a little bit if that's okay
We
with
met
you?
here in
Hmm.
the US, because he was
In San
studying his
Francisco?
master's here. Huh?
Did you guys go to school together?
No, but we just kind of had a connection through some school stuff. And then he was studying here and I was studying here. And then he finished school, so his visa ran out, so he had to leave. So then
Okay.
I decided to go back to Taiwan with him because I knew Taiwan, familiar place. And yeah, so we moved there. And then
So
we stayed there for the all this time.
so the first time that you moved to
Yeah.
Taiwan, what was like the biggest culture shock for you? Like how old were you? You were in your early 20s?
Yeah, I was like right out of school. I actually left, I finished undergrad a year early, so I was pretty young.
Okay.
22 maybe, 21, 22, 22, I
Okay.
think, 22.
Um
Um I went to Hong Kong first
okay.
and then went to Taiwan.
So like what was like what was the biggest adjustment for you? What were like your biggest what were your biggest challenges? What was like the most amazing thing?
Mm. At that time, like being that young, there's so many. I mean, it's so it really the culture shock is a huge like jolt to the system.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know what to expect when you go to another country, especially being so young and being really opinionated as a young American.
Yeah.
Um, there was quite a lot. I think the working culture was the biggest shock,
Okay.
because the working culture is so different. What they expect out of their workers and what the companies are willing to do for workers, which is like nothing, and how much they pay. And then how
Can you
passive.
elaborate? Can you elaborate on those things a little bit more? Like,
Yeah, like it's just I guess like in the US we have a culture of workers standing up for themselves and demanding rights as workers and demanding that we're not overworked and we get paid for overtime and we get wages that are within reason of the work we're doing and the living wage of the times,
uh
right?
huh.
But in Taiwan, they don't have that culture. They don't have the workers united culture. So a lot of companies just step on you, and then there's a huge difference too with like being a foreigner in Taiwan and being a local in Taiwan. The pay gap is enormous, and so we're doing similar work. A lot of times, the Taiwanese workers are doing way more than I am, but they're getting paid way less than I am, and that was really frustrating. I think to see that imbalance and
Mm-hmm.
how like just how unequal things were and how there's just nothing you can do about it. That's really frustrating.
So
Uh,
they treat foreign workers better than they treat their native
Certainly,
workers.
certainly. I think in the past, I'd say in the past 5, 10 years, it things have improved in Taiwan specifically,
Mm-hmm.
but um, it's like as like English teachers in general in other countries tend to face this no matter where you go in the world. And as the English teacher, you're the foreign face, and you just get treated better than the local people do a lot of the times in a lot of countries. That's hard to deal with, like to watch your co-teacher. Like I have co-teachers, right? It's always a foreign teacher and then a Taiwanese co-teacher, and to watch them be so belittled all the time, it's really hard to watch. It's hard to see, and it's really hard for me to sit there and like not say anything. So
So,
that was a huge cultural difference that was
but
hard to overcome.
they still expect you not to say anything. Like
Yeah,
it's
they definitely expect you not to say anything.
so
They expect you to not even know it's happening because they're doing that all in their native language. If they're like talking to people, that's always in their own language, but they don't realize that a lot of us actually can understand.
well that and I mean there's got to be like body language and tone and like
Yeah.
I think you know the dumb American stereotype is definitely a thing. You know, I mean there's people that don't understand. There's Americans that don't understand American bar culture. So
Hmm.
you go to another place and you the you know like it's not a stretch to think that like people go or Americans go other places and they definitely earn this. But like I'm sorry, most Americans can pick up on body language. It's just human. Most
Hey, yeah,
humans can.
we're not all idiots over here. Like we can see what's happening.
Yeah,
Like we know what's going on. It's pretty obvious.
yeah.
Yeah.
Just the people that live in Houston are idiots anyway. And Los Angeles. Okay, my bad. L.A. people are dumb as fuck too. Anyway, go on.
Yeah, I think for any young person going abroad for the first time, that's one of the first things that people are really overwhelmed by
Mm-hmm.
is the working culture being so different. Um, and then also being like having things demanded of you, like companies tend to, especially in I don't know, Asian culture, maybe it's more prevalent than other places, but they kind of expect a lot for very little pay, very many hours for little pay. And they want you to do extra work for nothing, and you have to be really firm with that. Like you have to really stick to your guns and that can get you into trouble at work too, which I've dealt with as well.
Huh.
So I'd say working culture was the biggest cultural shock out of everything.
Yeah, that is a big shock. And you know, you hear stories about stuff like that, but
Hmm.
again, you're now I'm putting a face to it, which makes it much more real to me and kind of puts it more like in my not so much in my peripherals, but in my like
Hmm.
my forethought. Um, okay, so that was the first time you went over there. Uh,
Hmm.
that was like the biggest thing.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely. That was, yeah, both in Hong Kong and in Taiwan. I experienced the same amount of shock for that part.
well, Hong Kong kind of has more of like a, or at least, and again, I'm gonna play the ignorant American card. I remember reading that Hong Kong has a little bit more freedom than the rest of China, or am I? There
Hong
was a
Kong, oh, they've been through a lot, man. I mean, we can't talk too much about it. I guess that's kind of not, let's not get into it. But
yeah.
Hong Kong's been through a lot in recent years, and they were very free in their thinking and their, like, just in general. They just had so much freedom there for so long, um, which they recently rejoined China, right? And it's been a crazy transition for them. But yeah, when I was there, it was 2008 to 2009, around that time.
Hmm.
And there was a lot of freedom. Yeah, they were very forward-thinking people and very modern. And yeah, it was a really interesting place. I'm really glad I went there when I did, because it was such an interesting place to be at that time.
Have you been back since?
No, I
Okay.
haven't.
Okay. Yeah, I remember the protests, and again, like it's kind of a disservice that America does is like wasn't really in mainstream media. We don't talk about China a lot. I think China has a lot of interests in our media, and
Yeah.
it's about selling things and not necessarily. I think that's some American consumerism too. I don't like to get into politics too much, but I also think that I don't know. YouTube will probably censor this, or Twitch would have anyway. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, I think that there's a lot less things that you can say over there, and
Right.
so that must have been
Yeah,
hard
you do
for.
have to be a lot more careful
Yeah.
with what you're saying. Which
Hmm.
Taiwan, for those people who aren't aware, Taiwan is its own country,
Hmm.
okay? Like, they have their entirely own system. They are democratic and very free. So there's a lot of political stuff happening around Taiwan and China all the time.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, more recently, it's gotten even more serious.
And I want to get into that. That's one of my questions for a little bit later. But I kind of want to like get a feel more for like Taiwan, like just kind of
Yeah,
start in the
sure.
middle when you first got there, and then kind of like learn more about it.
Mm.
So let's talk about when you went over there. So you went back actually.
Yes, I went back.
So what was the biggest difference when you got back? It couldn't have been that many years if you lived there for like seven
It,
and a half.
yeah, it was 4 years, I think.
Okay.
About around roughly 4 years since I had been there. So I went, and I had visited actually in that 4 year span. I'd gone back once or twice, I forgot. But yeah, so I went back about 4 years later, and that was the beginning of this whole period of time, 7.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think the biggest, because the first time I lived there, I lived in a really small town and kind of in the middle of the country.
Okay.
So there was more culture shock happening. There was more of like small town local feeling where I
Mm-hmm.
lived the first time. And whereas the second time I lived in Taipei City, which is the capital
Okay.
city, and that's
Right.
like
Yeah.
huge, right? Like lots of modern stuff happening there, very modern city. So it wasn't as, and this is the second time I'm back. I've been involved with Taiwanese culture for all this time, and there wasn't as much culture shock the second time. But the working culture, it always gets to you.
Yeah.
Like,
Of
I
course.
don't care how long you've been away. Once you go back, it's like, ooh, the
Well,
working culture.
it's got to be just such a shock to the system. I mean, even now, like I took today off. I got scheduled today at my work, and I was like, "Hey guys, can anyone cover my shift? I have something scheduled today. I didn't request it off or anything." And someone picked it up, and it was all good. Like I requested time off in
Yeah,
January for my birthday, and it was just granted. Like it's a communication thing over here. And sure, there's plenty of people. There's plenty of managers that suck over here and will try to take
right.
advantage of you like that. But again, like it's not bad. Like it's
Yeah,
not that bad over here.
it's not bad.
Even at
It's not bad at
corporations,
all.
yeah. Even when I worked at Starbucks, like I had benefits, and Starbucks is the
Hmm.
exception, not the rule. Um, but I had benefits and I had flexible hours and I had opportunity to move up. Like it doesn't sound like there's a whole lot of that for native workers, at least in the education field.
Yeah, it's kind of a gamble. Like, and that's what happened to me when I moved back. Is I was working for one school that just was horrible.
Mm-hmm.
It was a real nightmare. And then I went shopping around for another school, and I was really careful about choosing the next school that I went to work for. And then I ended up I found a really good school, that I ended up staying with for 6 years. So, I mean, it's, hit or miss sometimes, but you do have to be careful.
Right. So you're over there. You're
Mm,
living with your boyfriend.
yeah.
You are making you're away from your family.
Right.
You on the other side of the world, pretty much literally. Um, how did it feel going over there? I mean, I know you had some familiarity with your boyfriend. Like, what kind of I mean, that wasn't the first time you moved away from home, I'm guessing, but like you're there for a significant amount of time longer. Like, walk me
Yeah,
through
I think it's
what
the
your feelings
first,
are.
like,
Yeah.
every time I'd left home before, I would be gone for, a year and a half, 2 years max,
Yeah.
and then be back for a little bit and then gone for another year and a half or two. And this time it just, I think I settled a lot more easily into the culture. And like I said, I had found a job that I really enjoyed actually, which made it a lot easier to just kind of keep going with it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think it is kind of like, I mean, the whole staying abroad for this significant of a period of time is a whole topic in and of itself. But I just didn't feel like, I mean, the US went weird, you know? I was like, I don't really have any reason to go back.
Yeah.
Things are really strange over there. And watching from the outside as like the whole past few years unfolded was a little bizarre,
Yeah.
and did not make me feel like coming home at all.
I don't blame you. Yeah. There's I mean,
Yeah.
even now, there's I grew up with you could have a discussion. Um, you could listen to other people's views, and that's another thing that's very important to me about things like this is people don't understand things like this. People just probably and that's probably understanding human nature a little bit. Just because again, my profession, um, people don't tend to care when they can't put a face to things. Also, that's human nature.
Yeah.
You have to separate yourself from things that scare you a little bit, and I think that's kind of a flight or fight thing. So again, I'm not defending the people that don't believe you or whatever, um, but I also understand why they don't want to believe you. I mean,
Right.
I believe you again. Like I'm here for you. I support you 100%. I consider you a very close friend. Um, but I also, I got to I'm someone that puts myself on both sides of situations
Mhm.
because that's the
Me
only way.
too. And I
Yeah.
think that's part of like why I'm not like as uh I don't know why I handle things the way I do, because
Mm-hmm.
I do put myself in other people's shoes a lot. Like if I was on the other end of this, like for example, okay, perfect example. My little sister apparently is allergic to, what's that? She's lactose intolerant. Okay.
Okay.
Which she didn't used to be, but she is now. And I gave her a burrito with sour cream on it, and then like didn't even realize that I was like giving her sour cream, and then she was like, her face, she just like suddenly was looking not so happy, and I was like, oh my God, I didn't even realize that I'm the one who's allergic to everything, and here I am handing her something that she's allergic to. And I was like, oh my God, I'm horrible. Like, how can I be the one to forget like that she has this allergy? But it's totally understandable. Like when people around me are having things that I can't smell, or they're eating things that I can't have, like it's just natural for them to eat. Like I can't be upset with them for like eating.
Yeah.
But yeah, I get like how other people perceive it or how they feel about it, how they
Well, you can get
Can't understand it.
you can get upset with them. You just can't get angry with them. You know,
Right,
you can
right,
show your displeasure, but at the same time, like, yeah, it's just like when someone hurts you in a clumsy way versus like
right,
when
exactly.
someone hurts you
Not like
deliberately.
intentional or anything.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, it's two very different things. You know, one is a lot more forgivable than the other. So I
yeah.
get it. You know. So you're in Taiwan. You're living with
Mm,
your boyfriend.
mm,
Uh, we kind of got the culture shock aspect of it.
mm.
You lived there a good 6.5 years before things really started to
Yeah,
go
and
off the
in that
rails.
whole period of time, it was as things were getting worse and worse over time, like with the seafood allergy getting more and more severe.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I don't know. Sorry, I kind of interrupted you. You're gonna ask something.
No,
What were
no,
you gonna
keep
say?
going. No,
I was just gonna say like that whole period of time, like the culture shock thing, is I kind of kept questioning, like, should I go home or not? I do have an anaphylactic allergy at that point, and it had become clear that it was becoming a smell, like an aerosol type of thing. And then I wasn't able to get many answers. I wasn't able to find allergists who could understand. And I did reach a point where I was like, maybe I should go back. But then the medical care system over there is it's socialized, so you don't have to pay that much. It's
right.
like $5 to see a doctor rather than like $300.
Oh, what a fucking concept.
Right. So that kind of, really made it impossible for me to come back because of like, I mean, I rely on an EpiPen so heavily. Like I have to have an EpiPen with me all the time. And an EpiPen is like 300 something dollars. I don't know over here. It's like really expensive. Plus you have to pay to like see the doctor, talk to the doctor,
Mm-hmm.
get a prescription, all of the
Mm-hmm.
things you have to pay for. And over there, I just like walk into the doctor for $5, get an EpiPen I still have to pay 200 for the EpiPen, but I mean, you just pay the 200 for the EpiPen and plus $5 to talk to
Yeah,
the
only
doctor.
$200 for something
Yeah,
that's
like it
gonna
just
save your life.
all along the way, it just didn't make sense for me to come back until the plastic allergy, which just made it impossible for me to be there. Yeah,
Fuck. So when like
that's right.
did, did you have any the first like 6 years you were there you developed a seafood allergy, right? Like
Right.
around what time did that happen?
Right when I got there, I was there for about 6 months, and I started having discomfort with seafood.
Okay.
Yeah, so about less than a year into being there,
And
the
you
seafood thing
had
started.
you had like sushi, and I mean it seems like
Oh yeah.
yes. So you'd had
Yeah, I was
sushi.
eating because in the beginning it was just shellfish, and I kept eating seafood of all sorts until 3 years in, I think. Yeah, so I had shellfish allergy for about 3 years before it got worse.
Wow.
Yeah.
That so this is still like even I know it got real again, and I'll say this again just to remind everybody. It got real bad like a year ago, but this has been
Mm.
like a progressing thing.
Yeah, little by little.
And it spans two countries that are very they're on the other side of the world from each other. They're very far away. I'm sure there's a lot like the cultures are completely different. Um, sure, there's freedom there, freedom, you know, whatever that means. Uh, but when you go over there and this starts developing, like that's kind of where it probably gets like really confusing, right? It's like this happened over here and now you're over here, and it's just like a continuing mystery. So
Yeah.
when you're in Taiwan, when like tell me about when it started to get really bad.
Like a year ago, you mean
Yeah.
that like when
Hmm.
everything
Yeah. Like
that year was really bizarre. That was 2020, so it was like strange for everyone in the world.
right.
But um I broke a tooth that year in the beginning of the year in like February. And when I broke my tooth, it just was like a domino effect that led into what I am experiencing now. And basically, like, I broke a tooth, went to the dentist, had a root canal, had another root canal because the other tooth was hurting, had another root canal because another tooth was hurting. Then the dentist was like, whoa, that's way too many root canals. Let's go to a neurologist and see what's wrong. And I got diagnosed with fibromyalgia. Then I was like, fibromyalgia doesn't explain everything, all the pain I'm having. And then I went to like all these doctors, and that was from February all the way until about August, right?
Okay.
And then in August,
What are some of the symptoms of fibromyalgia?
fibromyalgia is a chronic pain issue. So your body is just in pain, like head to toe pain. And how it was diagnosed was there was numbness involved. So I had numbness in my jaw, like in my skin on my jaw, like here. And then I had numbness in random areas, like on my leg and my arm. Um, and that was going on for like 2 years before it was diagnosed. Like I was having those symptoms. But the dentist is the one who kind of like got me into the neurologist because of the root canals that I was getting, because I was having so much problem with my teeth. Okay.
Right.
Then in like August, I had a real traumatic situation where I almost died in my house because I was smelling seafood and didn't realize, I don't know, I didn't realize it was so serious to the point where I was like, I don't know, almost dying. Um, and that's kind of when everything got really bad because
Okay.
I had this 1 week of really horrible, horrible symptoms
Right.
that were really scary. And I had to move out of my house immediately because I was smelling a restaurant outside. Was like the smell was coming into my house.
Have you eaten in this restaurant before?
No, no, never,
Okay.
never, because they do have a lot of seafood there.
Well,
But I lived on the seventh floor, which is
okay.
why it was confusing because there was smells like coming to the house,
And
and
how
seventh floor
close
is
were you to this restaurant?
we were right next door, but like up high.
Okay, so it was like on the same block, but like on the bottom floor, and you're okay. So it's basically like the cooking smells are like wafting up to your window.
Right, right.
So
And
what
then,
were these like extreme symptoms that you were having? Because it sounds like
well, what's
this.
happening was the whole like brain fog thing. Like I just couldn't function. I just was like losing the ability to function. And then I was just kind of like, because with anaphylaxis, a lot of times what happens is you'll have vomiting or stomach upset, right?
Mhm.
And then you could also have drop in blood pressure, which are the two that I was experiencing at that time the most. And um, so I would have this because I have delayed type reactions. So when I am exposed to something, I might have a reaction anywhere from like 4 to 6 to 8 hours later. So what was happening was in the morning they would like around like 11 a.m. they would like be cooking something,
Mhm.
and I would get really fuzzy brained, like I couldn't think, I couldn't function, I couldn't do anything, and I didn't know that that was happening because I was so out of it. And then in the evening I would be throwing up. And I was like, why am I throwing up? I haven't had seafood. This doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And so at that time, that was a whole week of that where I was just like, something is really, really wrong here. I don't know what's going on. Then I started setting a timer to figure out like what was happening because I was like, I'm getting fuzzy brained at the same time every day. And then I figured out they were cooking. And so I moved out that week. Like after about a week of that, I was like, this, I'm going to die here. Like I'm literally just going to die because my throat started closing and I didn't know that that was what was happening.
Oof.
Um,
Because you were
Sorry, I
fuzzy
kind of got
brained.
off track.
No, you're
What?
good. No, you're telling
Yeah,
it.
because I was so
Yeah.
out of it. I didn't
Yeah.
know that my throat was closing, which is weird because like you think you would know, but like throat closing is a really odd symptom. Like it doesn't feel the way you expect it to feel. It's just like everything, it's like when you have a headache and everything just feels a little bit tight, but then it just keeps getting tighter and tighter and tighter until you can't breathe. Um,
Almost like when they're in the trash compactor in Star Wars.
yes, just like that. Like
Holy
it's
shit.
just slowly happening and you don't really
Until you're
know.
like yeah.
Right.
Wow.
That was terrifying when that happened. And I just
Was that
left.
the first time that that had happened?
Yes, that was
Okay.
the first time. And I
Wow.
didn't realize that that was what happened until a couple weeks later when I had the necklace metal reaction, and
Okay.
it was obvious that that was what was happening.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, that's what happened to me like during that last week when I was like dying.
Wow. So
Yeah.
were you still living? You said you moved out. Were you still living with your boyfriend at this point?
At that time, I was living with my boyfriend. Yeah.
So what was? I mean, obviously you're off. You've been with him for a few years at this point. What was
Yeah.
his reaction to that? Did he like? Did he notice? Did he ask you anything that you remember? I know you're fuzzy brain, but like to me, like
Well,
you're.
he was at work when I was having the most symptoms.
Uh huh.
So, but he would be home when I would like be having the anaphylactic stereotypical like throwing up and everything. It was just confusing. To be honest, it was just the whole thing was totally confusing because I didn't know what was happening. He didn't know what was happening. And then I kept saying during that week, especially in the previous, a little bit building up to that, but mostly during that like 1 or 2 weeks where I was like, I feel like I'm smelling something and I think it's the restaurant. And then there was a lot of, I don't know, disbelief happening, which we don't need to really hash
Well, we
into.
don't we
But
don't we don't have to hash out, but we don't have to
yeah,
hash that out. But I mean, it sounds like there was some gaslighting going on there too.
yeah, a little bit.
I just
uh,
can, and again, I'm not trying to put this dude on blast or anything, but like I just don't understand how you're with someone so long and then you just. I
I
mean,
don't know.
he had to have seen. He probably knew you really well. Like you guys were living together the whole time you were there, right?
You'd think.
I mean, it just fucking blows my mind that your partner, someone that you were with, and again, I'm sorry for
That's
I'm
another
so,
thing that I've seen so much. And I thought, like, I mean, I was obviously livid about the whole situation. Like, when I left, I was like, this is a horrible situation that I've lived through.
yeah.
And but then I get on those Facebook groups again, and I'm like seeing that I'm not the only one. Like, there's so many people out there with anaphylaxis who are going into anaphylactic shock, and their loved ones just don't believe them. They just don't believe that what's happening is happening. Like, they just don't want to acknowledge it. I don't know. It's like crazy to me, but like, how do you be next to someone for that long and then not know, not even believe that they're experiencing that? Like, I can't, it just boggles my mind, honestly. I cannot wrap my head around the thought process because I wouldn't do that.
Well,
I just
first of
wouldn't be
all,
like that.
I'm sorry that you went through that. That's awful. Um, so having come from such a good support system with your dad, I mean, you must have been that must have been devastating for you, like to go through all of the
Yeah.
things that you were going through and not have doctors believe you and not have the person that you had been with for several years, the better part of a decade, like that must have been a really lonely time for you.
It was. It was a really lonely, dark time. Yeah, that was, but to be honest, at that moment, um, I was in fight or flight at that time.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as that week of hell happened and my body literally just broke, everything, I just became suddenly allergic to all the foods. That I went into fight or flight and my brain just did what it needed to do to get me through and to survive. And I was basically in fight or flight for, I don't know, the better part of the year. Um, I didn't I didn't really have time to process what was happening until 8 months later,
So yeah,
really.
the relationship thing, you're just in survival mode. You don't have time to think
Yeah.
about it. You don't have the luxury of thinking about that because you don't want to die.
Right. And I think that was part of it, like building up to it. Like there were times when I was looking back, I was like going into anaphylaxis without really realizing it. And I should have been going to a doctor. I should have been going to a hospital,
Hmm.
but I didn't. And because my brain's not functioning, like I was relying on my partner to be the functioning human in the in the room, and that
Yeah,
wasn't
you'd
really
hope for that for
happening.
sure. Hmm.
Yeah, and I think like looking back, I was in fight or flight for a very long time because my body was under so much stress with all the allergies that I didn't know I was dealing with. Um, because okay, back to the teeth thing, which I kind of like got off track from, but during that whole year, I was having so much problem with fibromyalgia and having problems with my teeth and root canals being done and not finished and all this. Um, and then the root canals going wrong and like still having pain and everything. But in the end, what ended up happening was that I was allergic to my fillings,
Oh, wow.
which I don't know if I told you that. But
I remember you telling me that. Yes,
yeah,
not on the stream here, but yes, I do remember you telling me that. So
yeah.
being allergic to your fillings, like
And
those,
that was the most medical gaslighting that I have experienced out of everything, was
yeah,
like trying to get someone to believe me when I was saying I think I'm allergic to my fillings was like the most nightmarish thing I've ever had to deal with.
I have several fillings too. I can't imagine
Yeah.
something that's been in your body for so long that you're allergic to.
Yeah, because I just started going into anaphylaxis like in my sleep. Like I would just be like laying down to sleep and then I'd suddenly my throat would start closing. And I was like, wow, something is not right. Like, please, I need someone to help me. And it was like, oh my God, that was just
Do
horrible.
you hear that, kids watching at home that aren't actually watching this because it's marked as NSFW? Brush your teeth because cavities can kill you. Apparently.
Mm, good advice.
Holy shit. Okay, so you've moved out of the house at this point,
Right.
or out of your apartment.
I
How
moved
long?
out.
How much
Mm.
longer did you live in Taiwan before you came back?
I moved out in August of 2020, and now it's November 21.
Right. Okay.
So
So
I just moved back.
it's
So
been a minute. Okay.
about a year.
Damn. So what was it like in your new apartment? It
Well,
sounds like
first I bounced around between Airbnbs for a
oof.
month or so, maybe a little over a month. And during that month, I progressively became more and more allergic to more foods until I couldn't eat anything. And then I found an apartment and moved in, which the apartment was really nice because it was all new, which is what I was looking for. It was something that was all new for like everything, new appliances and everything, because
Right.
I do have so many allergies. So I was thinking like someplace that was really clean and brand new would be the best, which I did find. And once I got into that apartment, I went through a whole process of elimination where I literally just like eliminated everything that I could think of that I might be allergic to out of my environment.
So
So things got a lot better after that,
yeah,
actually.
because now at this point you're not just living with this problem, you're not confused. You at least have identified it. You have
Mhm.
moved forward and now you're in the exploration process, which honestly like of course that's got to be nerve-wracking, but there's got to be some what were you feeling at this point? Like freedom? Were you feeling like a little bit of
Relief,
yeah.
because at that point, like once I left the first house and during that first month where I was kind of bouncing around, I actually did find a doctor, an
Mhm.
immunologist who did know kind of what might be going on. And that's when I got diagnosed with the FPIES thing and the
Right.
food problem, right? And just having an answer of any sort, just having some explanation of like what might be happening, gave me just a direction to kind of go in and
Mhm.
something somewhere to start, right? So I was able to like eliminate food
Right.
and like start from scratch. And then I did get a skin patch test, like a very general one done that identified some metal allergies and some fragrance allergies. And I was able to kind of eliminate all of those things out of my environment. So just being able to take some control over the situation and some direction towards helping myself. I think the worst period of time was when I didn't know what the heck was going on at all,
Mhm.
because that was terrifying. I just would eat and be sick and be like really out of it, and I didn't know why. And that was just scary, that whole period. So I think once I got a little bit of control over it, and knowing that it was allergies and being able to take control of that helped a lot with my emotional state, I
I
would
bet.
say.
Well, I mean, it's
Yeah.
terrifying. No one wants to die, especially with as I mean, we're not in our 20s anymore, but we still got a lot of youth to us. I mean, you want to your 30s are supposed to be like your 20s, but like you throw your back out a little bit more, but you're smarter and you make smarter financial decisions. Nah, you're just like living to survive, you know.
Yeah. Which is strange. It's really strange. It's strange to just like live minute to minute and not know what's coming at all. Like no guess. Like
what what
uh,
is what has changed for life like I mean compared to how you were when you had a lot more freedom, you could eat whatever you want or mostly whatever you want. You could
I
you could
feel more free now than I did then,
really
which is kind of surprising. But like, I mean, you literally take away the entire like I don't know, like it's life or death. Nothing else matters.
It
There's
literally
just
is a life or death situation. Yeah.
yeah, because it's like I literally could breathe something and die in the next hour, and like that would be it. So what I do in this hour is really important, and that I have to do what's important to me as a human being, and like what's meaningful to me as a human being, and I have to do it because the next hour, who knows?
So it's made it easier to be a lot more present in the moment.
Totally, 100%.
So I see how that's freeing because I mean, as you know, as technology gets better, and you know, I'm someone that grew up on the internet. I grew up chatting with people. Like, I don't think I've expressed this to you that much, but like, I was in chat rooms since I was like in sixth grade. You know, when the internet came out, and that was my way of like being myself and exploring who I
Right,
was. You know, being
right,
being in school, like I just got through school, and I found out a lot of people like thought I was a lot of people had a lot of different opinions of me. Some people thought I was like a popular kid that wouldn't give them the time of day. Nah, man, I was the kid that like hung out with three people and like hid in the fucking yearbook room. Like I was a fucking dork. And yeah, I was a jock too. Like I was kind of I didn't belong anywhere, but I was welcome a lot of places, but I didn't feel like I fit there. So
feel that. Right
now
there with you.
yeah, but now, you know, like we're victims of our phones and comparing ourselves to people on social media and getting fed the same fucking bullshit ideas that that other people have, and like because of algorithms where it's just like some fucking stale fart of an idea that just keeps getting fucking circulated and validated. And so the fact that you've kind of been forced to break that loop, that you've kind of not to use a Game of Thrones reference, but I mean you broke the wheel, you know, like not I mean
Right.
not intentionally, but like you really did. Like that cycle does not exist for you, you know. Um
Yeah,
it's hard to be present, you know, because we're all
it
just looking
is. It's
forward to
hard.
the next thing, the next piece of candy, the next instant piece of gratification. So
Mm.
that's so mind-blowing, and again inspiring. You're just becoming a muse to me at this point. Like just hearing you talk has just been so invigorating for me. And now that I mean, that was before the fact. Now that we're like sitting here and we're doing this, like I just feel so privileged to hear this and be present of this. Like, I mean, I am eternally grateful. I did not expect this to go as well as it's
That's really
going, but like,
touching.
yeah,
Thanks.
of course. No, I mean, you know, the wine's probably helping me express myself a little bit better too. But like, I don't know, you just don't experience things like this every day. I've heard so many bar stories and so many things, and like, you know, I've read and I've, you know, I've tried to expose myself to things that make you intellectual, and but like this is one of the more, this is getting my soul going. This is getting my heart going.
Mm,
Like I feel for you, you know, like just it's such a, it's just such a privilege to hear this. Like I don't get like pumped like this very often. You know, I've seen and heard just so many things that, you know, they're repetitive, they're whatever. So to hear a
right.
story like this, like you ought to just write a fucking book. And again,
That's what my dad keeps saying.
I implore you guys, go follow, like again, it's in the description, go follow Ivy's journey. Like her videos
Please
are very
do. I would
watchable.
appreciate that a lot if people followed what I'm going through. That definitely it
There,
encourages me to have people
good,
watching because I
good.
feel like it's something I want to be able to help people with what I've gone through. I want people to hear what I'm living through and maybe be giving them strength in some way that they can do get through whatever they're going through because everybody has their own thing and like if you can just I don't know, just be a little stronger from hearing that someone went through so much. I don't know, like please just I hope that I can help other people. I really do.
Yeah, and I mean this is a universal this is a universal story. This is the story that I've been trying to tell on my channel for the last year, and I don't think I've ever been able to do it as well as we have tonight. And I can't thank you enough for helping me get that message across. Like things do get better, and life is hard, but there's
Sorry,
so
there's like a really loud car outside. I don't know if you hear that motorbikes going by.
I can't no.
Okay,
There's
good. Because it's
a
loud.
there's like there's a lot of things in life that come up that there's a lot of things in life that come up that, and again, everybody struggles, everybody has hard times. It doesn't matter if you're Mr. Jeff Bezos or Miss Ivy Lee Ayers, like it's or the Booze Bear, you know, like we all have struggles and they're all valid, and the best
I
thing
think
that you can do is continue. Go ahead. Yeah.
that's what's really come up with me and like going through all this is that like your struggles are valid.
Mm-hmm.
Every person's got their thing going on, and every person deserves to be heard and be believed. Like if you feel like you're struggling or you feel like something's wrong, then you know something's probably wrong. Like I think that's the most prevalent thing that comes to me at all times is like if you think it's wrong, it's probably wrong. Because that just happens to me over and over again, and I just can't. I wish I could advocate for every person out there. You know, I wish I could be the voice for everyone. Like be believed and tell people like just keep saying it until somebody does believe you, and be strong and keep advocating for yourselves because
Absolutely.
it's important. You know, your life is important.
So
Yeah.
we're kind of getting towards the end of this. Also, that was beautifully said. Um, so you have basically no support system in Taiwan, right?
Yeah.
Even the
I
people
had I have good
that are
I
supposed to
had
be
some
close to you.
really
Yeah.
I have some really good friends who were there, um, who stood by me, you know, when I did need somebody to lean on.
Good.
Um, yeah. But I didn't have any family over there or anything at the end for the last year
Yeah.
because once I left that apartment, I was just on my own for that whole time.
Yeah, and what a lonely and tough time that. Well, we kind of already covered that. By the way, is there anybody that you want to before I feel like right now we're in Taiwan, we were in the US, you know, we grew up together,
Yeah.
like we kind of grew up together within this podcast, right? I feel like the audience and you and me like we're regrowing up right now. We're in Taiwan, we're in this foreign country.
Right.
That feels like home sometimes, but you know, um so do you want to thank anybody while like
Yeah, I mean, my I have some really dear friends who were became my family while I was there. Like, well, okay, Anika, my dear love. She was she's been through a lot as well,
Mhm.
and she was right there with me side by side for most of this whole entire thing. And then my two friends, Colin and Devin, who just pulled through for me, especially towards the end when I really needed people looking out for me. And another friend, Robert, and his wife, who I don't know, their kindness just it kills me how kind they are. I couldn't have made it through without them. There's some other friends, you know, who have been there on and off throughout the years, but without the friends there, like I don't think I would have made it through because I didn't have family, and especially separating from my partner, like that was really rough right in the middle of all this
Mhm.
health confusing mysteries, and the whole thing was just a nightmare. So I am very grateful to the people who were there for me
Good.
throughout all of it.
I love that.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you had that support system because without I've struggled many times with without a support system, and I can't tell you how, especially when you know your partner was probably the biggest part of your support system. Like when what you take is like a sure thing just falls out from
Yeah.
underneath you right when all of these tragic things are happening, it's just such a devastating and soul crushing and heartbreaking experience that I mean a lot of people don't come back from that. So
Yeah.
having I'm so glad that you had a support system, and we didn't really talk about that this last couple
Yeah, we
weeks.
didn't really talk about that, have we?
So
And I think like
I'm glad you had
I
that.
would say thank you to you, Justin, because I mean, right there at the end, like I really did feel um, completely isolated in the last month or two that I was in Taiwan because the plastic allergy happened and I lost my job because of that. And I wasn't able to go outside
Yeah,
for a really long time.
yeah.
And I just suddenly felt cut off from the whole world. And I reached out online and you showed up and you've been an amazing friend to me.
Thank you.
And that's just meant the world to me,
Likewise, by the way.
honestly. Yeah.
I've really enjoyed talking to you the last couple weeks. Um, So, and again, this friendship will continue. I'm sure we'll have Ivy back on the show. I'm very excited for that. Um,
Hopefully with like awesome updates with how
yes,
healthy I am.
yes, hell yes, fuck yeah, fingers crossed. Sending positive energy, thoughts and
Please.
prayers, all that
I
good shit.
need
Well,
it.
yeah,
Prayers, prayers.
yeah.
Give me prayers.
Um, cheers, all the booze energy that I can muster. So, I haven't asked you about this yet. But I know that you had a lot of anxiety about coming back,
Mm-hmm.
and specifically the plane ride. I know that you were struggling with that
That was
emotionally
terrifying.
and logically, as you should, right? Like, there's like, y'all ever been on a plane? I don't know if you noticed, but there's a shit ton of fucking plastic in those
The
bitches.
entire thing is made of plastic.
So like, tell
Oh
me
my
about
God.
your
I
flights.
was
Like,
so scared. I was scared and it was well founded because it was terrifying. The entire ride was terrifying.
yeah,
Yeah, it was really scary. I have to shout out United Airlines because that's the airlines I took, and they made me feel very well taken care of. They were very vigilant. They asked me a lot of questions. They were right there checking in on me all the time. Um, they did the kindest thing, which it was so subtle, but it really like it just filled my heart with so much love because like okay, I got on the plane, I'm going through the whole plane ride,
mm-hmm.
I'm terrified the entire time. And then at the end of the plane ride, the one of the stewards gave me back the ticket that they had, the boarding pass. And he's like, "Oh, I'll give this back to you in case you need it later." And on the ticket, they had written some notes, and it was very clear that the ticket had been passed from hand to hand to multiple people because there were different handwritings across it. And it in the first note said allergic to seafood and plastic, right? And then the second note had a question that was basically like what kind of cups to use. And then the next note had an answer that said use the pilot's cups. And then I didn't know any of that, but during the whole ride, they had been serving me coffee in paper cups, right? Which normally the cups are plastic, or you get those little mugs that are also plastic.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't realize that they had like specifically chosen these paper cups just for me. But they did. And at the end of the flight, I got this boarding pass with all these notes on it to how to keep me safe through the ride. And
Wow.
that just like coming from being like feeling so isolated and so cut off from the world and so lonely, to be so well taken care of on the flight home, especially when I was just in fear the whole ride. It was really touching to me to have that communication happening throughout the United Airlines
Yeah.
staff. That was just crazy to me that someone would think that much about me. Yeah, that was really nice.
Well, I consider flight attendants they're fucking their family to me. Their service industry to me. And honestly, I had a really good experience with United. So one of my very very good friends, Ryan Darby, and also his now wife, Dina Darby. I watched football with Ryan. He was one of my old bar regulars. But she works for United, and she hasn't worked in a while because they were focusing on their wedding. But I went to breakfast with them one time, and I met one of Dina's coworkers. And so I was going to their the whole reason I was going to Hawaii was for Ryan and Dina's wedding. So this tiny little fucking airport that's near where I live. I get the coworker Adia, who fucking who I went to breakfast with that one time.
Oh, that's awesome.
So when I'm flying back to San Diego, and I don't want to get Adia in trouble. I don't know how I got special service. It was like she was on both my flights. She gave me outstanding service. Everybody else on the flight was incredible. I've dealt with so many fucking flight attendants that are just the bedside manner sucks. We'll just put it that way. I've had some bad experiences. But she was so kind, and so was the rest of the crew. So like, yeah, shout out to United. Like y'all are pretty
Yeah,
good
they were
at
so attentive.
y'all are
It
pretty
was
good at hiring
amazing.
flight attendants for sure.
They are. They really are. Because I felt well cared for. Because I mean, honestly, on the flight home, I went into anaphylaxis
Oof,
4 or 5 times.
yeah, I bet.
And my whole goal through the whole ride was to like minimize the problem and
Mhm.
like eliminate symptoms. And it just was like the whole entire ride. It was 12 hours. And I was just the whole time feeling it the whole time.
God, that's rough.
Um, so to have the staff there for me was really, that was just heartwarming, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Side note, I do see you guys chatting in chat. I appreciate you. We are gonna do a Q&A at the end, if y'all stick around. I know I usually talk to you guys on Twitch, but this is, you know,
New thing,
we're gonna
new
edit some
stuff.
stuff out, and you know, we're recording. There's some audio recording going on. Otherwise, I would love to talk to you guys. You guys know how much I love you. So you make it back. You've been back what, like 2-3 weeks now?
Yes.
Okay.
When did I come back? November 7th, I came back. So yeah, a couple weeks now.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, you're home for the holidays. You're going to be home for
I'm
Thanksgiving.
so excited. I'm so happy to be home for the
You're
holidays.
going to
I have not been home for holidays in like years and years and years. So
you're going to have
it's really cool.
berries and milk and whatever else you can eat, you know.
Yes.
Maybe some white wine. Describe to me what it was like getting home. I know we've talked about this a little bit, but like I know
It's
that.
strange because I'm dealing with so many elements.
Mhm.
Like there's the health part, right, which I have to be
Mhm.
very vigilant of constantly.
Of course.
And then there's I'm rekindling old relationships that I, hadn't really been active in
Mhm.
for years. And then I also have the reverse culture shock happening, which is a whole thing in of itself. Reverse culture shock tends to be more extreme than culture shock, which most people don't really know about. But coming home is the hard part,
Oh, I bet.
because everything is just not what you expect it to be.
Well, especially after seven
um,
and a half years, when you're, I mean, it's almost like picking up, especially with how polarizing our last president was, and how the last
right,
couple of elections have
right.
just been so forefront, where I feel like Americans could just ignore things beforehand. Where
Mm.
now it's like it's in your face, you have to give a fuck, and then with the pandemic happening and it being
There's just been so
completely
much the
different,
past
where
few years. It's
yeah, it's like
unbelievable.
watching something until season 4 and then picking it up in like season 11. You know, like it's just like
Right, that's a good analogy.
yeah,
That's exactly what it feels
yeah,
like. You're like, okay, I'm catching up. I'm
yeah,
catching up. Like,
yeah, right. But still, like you just like hear the audio version of those episodes or something like that. There's still something
exactly. You're
missing.
just
You
getting
don't
like
live it.
clips
Yeah,
of it, like
yeah.
the highlights on
hmm
Facebook.
hmm It's like when I did a
Yeah,
book
it's
report in high
bizarre.
school and used the Cliff Notes.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I think I mean, obviously my problem gets me really limited. I'm very stuck in my house at the moment, stuck in my room.
Yeah.
So I guess that kind of minimizes the culture shock I've experienced because I haven't been out that much,
hmm
which is probably for the best. I can't really handle a whole lot at the moment. Um,
But there's got to be culture shock in your house. I mean, you've just been, and again, if so guys, I meant to say this earlier. I'm live from my brother's house. I'm 34. We're both in our, I'm gonna say early 30s. I'm gonna say early 30s because I'm not mid 30s until next year. Okay. Uh, but I mean, is there anything more millennial than being independent and
this is it right here.
living like I moved out at 19, and I moved home once for 6 months. Is there anything more millennial than being independent up until your 30s and then moving home, like moving back
Yeah,
in with your family? I mean, if
this
that
is it right here. Here we are, being the
cheers
millennials.
cheers to us
This is
fucking
the millennials out there.
living the fucking dream. But anyway, it's got to be culture shock within your house, though. I mean, you're so independent for so long, and you're killing it in another country to the point where you're living alone and you're thriving, which I will give you credit for. I don't think I could do that. Maybe in an English speaking country like Australia, maybe I could live in a South American country if I learned Spanish. Like maybe I could, do Europe or something like that, but. Nah, you were in
Mhm.
for most Americans uncharted territory. So now that you have kind of come back after thriving. Like how, like tell me about how it's been like with your family. Like what's different? Like you have this support system that like helped raise you through all of these really gnarly times and like situations. Like how is it being home?
It's interesting. It's good. Things are really fast paced here compared to there.
Really?
So people tend to think quickly and like act quickly and like make decisions quickly, which over there I think it's a lot more slower paced. So I think that's the biggest difference is that everything's kind of just like happening all at once, and I'm
Uh-huh.
like, whoa, slow down, like let's chill. So that's the biggest difference I think overall. But to be honest, the culture difference it has been largely positive for me because it's really hard for people there to understand my problem with allergies because it doesn't exist really over there,
Mm-hmm.
the severity of allergies that we have in the US. So to be honest, like the culture shock mostly has been like a positive culture shock, which is surprising because people here actually get it. Like I'm allergic to a lot of things, and they're like, okay, let me not serve you any of those things, you know. And that has been just a weight lifted off my shoulders because over there, it's every moment I'm like explaining myself over and over and over again, and
Mm-hmm.
I got really tired of it to the point where I was just stuck in my house, not talking to people. Um, so here, I feel like I have a lot more ability to move around more freely and interact with people who kind of get what I'm saying a
Yeah.
lot more easily. So it's been a really surprisingly, the culture shock has been a positive
Mm-hmm.
part
Yeah.
of the transition. Yeah.
I personally think culture shock is actually very exciting, and this is coming from someone that's, I mean, when I was out of the country, I've been to Mexico a couple times. Hawaii, I guess there was some culture shock, but in a very positive way, very relaxing. I've been
Mm.
to Canada before, but the first time I ever experienced culture shock, I went to Philly, uh,
Ah.
and you know we're from the West Coast. It's very different, very
Yeah.
different.
Yeah.
Um, for those of you that haven't been to America, like it,
I mean,
don't
America's huge.
I
There's
mean
like so many different types of people in this
right?
country.
And every
It
state,
is, yeah.
like, there's similarities between Americans, but each state has its own fucking vibe. Just like, I mean, I'm sure just like provinces and other countries and stuff like that. But I went to Philly, which is a much older city than where we're from, which is still a pretty old city. There's a lot of historic buildings there. Very beautiful downtown. A lot of historical things happened in Sonoma County, where we're from, especially with San Francisco and the gold rush going on. There's the earthquake. You know,
Right.
we're from the chicken steak capital of the world. Like eggs used to get shipped up to San Francisco, like during
Chicken
the
steak,
big
I love
earthquake.
that.
Um, I like to pull that one out every once in a while. The chicken steak capital of the world.
Yeah.
It's not the same still. Um, but yeah, I'm in Philly. It's a much old, like, just walking around and seeing the architecture and like just reading things. You know, like walking around like old city and like meeting people that live there, and they just like take that shit for granted. You know, like I mean, they know those things, but they grew up. And here I
Right.
am. You know, like a what was this 20? I was probably like 29, 30, probably 30, 31 actually. And I'm just walking around, and I never gave a shit about history, man. I never cared about anything. But there's like an old pub in where everything got done. Like our country was founded in a pub, basically. The Constitution, all of that shit was talked about. That because that's how that was the
It's pretty
social
fun to
media
think
back
about. I
then.
never thought about it like that, but yeah,
I know
huh?
where
They
our
were like,
that's why there's so many fucked up things in our country is because a fucking bunch of drunks founded it. Okay, so vote for me for mayor of you know of whatever town you want. I don't care. Just write me in.
that's what's wrong with this country. It was founded by drunks.
Yep. I mean, drunks and old white racists, I guess. But anyway, uh, yeah. I mean, culture shock can be a good thing. I know
Yeah.
I kind of ended that on a negative note, but I mean, like, I don't know. I've learned a bunch of cool shit, and I related it to my life. You know. So yeah,
This is
sometimes
a good summary of culture shock. You learn a bunch of cool shit and then you relate it to your life. That's
yes,
exactly what it
yeah,
is.
yeah. you're like, how do I process this? And then you make it work for you, and then it is
Right,
whatever it is.
right. That's
So
pretty fun. It's a good way to
how's
describe
how's your mental state?
right now.
Just
I'm a little on and off, up and
yeah,
down.
yeah. Well, compared to how
uh,
it was when you were leaving, I guess when
I'm
you
a
were
lot
leaving Taiwan.
better here than I was there because I'm not allergic to the room that I'm in. I mean, I was like really, really out of it because the whole room was plastic where I was at.
Yeah.
Asia tends to do things cheap, you know, they like cheap materials.
Again,
um,
cutting corners because there's a lot of people to worry about. I mean,
yeah,
I get it.
yeah, it's all fast, you know, and I mean, like fast fashion, fast design, everything's kind of just really factory made and all that.
Fast materialistic stuff, slow decision making.
Yes, yes. But here, you know, we have a strong value on all natural materials and doing things the organic way, which for me is a huge benefit. It's like very helpful to my life.
Yeah.
So yeah, just having the change in environment has definitely lifted a lot of the problem, although the allergies are still equally as serious.
Of course.
Some of them got more serious,
Ooh,
some of them kind of eased off a bit. Um, but overall, I'm happier, which I think that's all I can ask for.
good, because you deserve happiness. You're a good person. Um, so is there any other points? Like, is there anything that you want to talk about that we've missed? I'm gonna do the Q&A
You know, yeah,
thing in a little
Q&A.
bit.
Let's do it.
But I wanna tie up the podcast part of it. Because this is a live podcast, so if you're listening on other things, like this is my first podcast. Let me know what you think. Tell me if you think I'm annoying. If you want to come back to my YouTube and look at my big dumb face, like, do that shit. We love meeting new people. We already have a
Don't forget
community.
to like and subscribe if you're
Yeah,
here,
and
if
hit
you're
the
watching.
yeah.
Subscriptions help, likes help.
What? Wait. Hold on a sec. This is my YouTube channel, okay? You said that before I did, okay? Now all I have is hit
You
the
taking too long.
notification bell, and I fucking hate that shit, okay?
The
So,
notification bell
yeah,
is
okay.
ridiculous.
Wait, hold on. Time out. All right, we're gonna bring that back a little bit. Like and subscribe, and hit the notification bell, or go fuck yourself. Just kidding. I love you. Don't do that. Anyway, we're gonna tie up the podcast part of this. I'm gonna look at chat in a minute here, okay? So y'all can make fun of all of the things that you've wanted to make fun of me about, like, for the last like 20 minutes, 2 hours,
20 minutes. It's been
two
like
and a half
way long.
hours, whatever. What is time? It's still 2019 to me, okay? Um, Look, everything that you guys want to say, you'll get to say it in a minute, and I'm gonna go back and read chat too.
Please do. Say it. Please
But
say it.
I will. I will in a little bit. So first of all, Ivy, thank you so much for being on the podcast. This was a fucking pleasure. This was way cooler than I thought it was going to be, and I was stoked about it for like the last month.
Thank you for having me.
Of
I
course.
appreciate it.
I hope you had fun.
I did.
Again, my guest is Ivy Lee Ayers. She's a YouTuber. Her YouTube and her Instagram I get to say all these things now, is in the description below, right? Okay, I gotta look at the camera when I do it though. My Instagram, my Twitch channel, I didn't put my Twitter in there. I might have put my TikTok. I don't fucking know. Like, my shit's in there too. It's below. This isn't about me. It's called Bar Chats, but it's about my guests. Let's see what else. I think the next episode we're gonna do. I haven't quite. This is gonna be a monthly thing. I haven't quite figured out what we're gonna do with it. I do have. I might make it a panel. But the LGBTQ plus community is very important to me. I have a lot of friends that are asexual, gay, bi, non-binary. Bar Chats is about exploring people's stories and hearing it from their mouths. And I just want to be a vessel for that, because something that I learned is that when you put a face to something, when you hear someone out, you understand them better, and that makes the world better. Having conversations, and it's so much harder to have conversations nowadays. I think my Discord link is in the section too. Thank you for everybody that listened to the first episode of Bar Chats. I love you guys. I will catch you next month. And this is the Booze Bear, Justin Stubbs, signing off. Ivy, do you have any closing thoughts?
No, you wrapped it up pretty nicely.
Nailed it. All right, I'll see y'all next month. Okay. Q&A. I was going to anyway. When we get in Joe Rogan. Okay. All right. Let's look through some of this shit. Okay. First of all, Craven, thank you for being here so much. I was reading some of your stuff. Shock, Justin, good to see you, brother. Yo, Cosmic Spidey, what's up? Mean Gene, hello. This is my friend Ivy. We went to elementary school together. Yeah. If you have any questions, now is the time to ask. Let's see. I'll let y'all think of some questions. I'm gonna read chat, which I've been dying to do anyway. Okay, there's some love messages. Oh shit. Okay, my mic was cutting off apparently. That's good to know.
Oh.
Okay, I was good. Never mind. I figured out. Oh, it was his YouTube getting man. Okay, cool. Because my sound was good. I was paying attention to OBS. Okay, so it was his YouTube. This makes me realize how lucky I am, and things are already in perspective because I can't imagine having something like a restrictive diet for allergy reasons. It's not just that. Like, it's touch.
Most restrictive diet ever. I never dieted before. I've never dieted. Do you know I've never dieted? I've never, ever cared to diet. And then this happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I diet to, I don't know, like sometimes I take time off drinking booze. Sometimes I eat salads at work. To be honest, I kind of get the cotton thing. That's why I hate wearing socks. Okay. Mansplaining at the age of 7. The toxicity has been lifelong. Nice. Purple gang when we were talking about our favorite colors. Okay. I wasn't a brave kid, as he says, as he throws chairs and just ups and leaves his damn classrooms. Okay. Shock said that's rough. Dude, I'm really honestly having such a good time. Thanks, Craven. You're appreciated, man. Nice. Also, what up, Shock? Nothing much. Metric ass ton of Conan, which is I have a server. We've been playing a lot of that over the last couple months. It's based off Conan the Barbarian, Ivy, if you wanted to know. I hope there's no plastic in wine. I mean, I'm sure there is.
Yeah, there's plastic in everything.
Yeah.
It's in our water.
Yeah. God, I do feel her pain, but honestly, with Conan, it's just been 7 days to die. Okay. Oh, Craven said that you have that Wolverine sense of smell.
Ooh.
And then my buddy Shock said, or he was talking about the track. That makes sense. On the track, I got out of PE all of 7th grade because whenever I ran outside, my face would swell up, but not when it was raining. Oh, interesting. I wonder if that suppresses it. Spidey, you're good for being late. No worries. My almost made me miss my Silverstein show last night. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, people catching up. Mean Gene's in here. Fucking Mean Gene's in the house. Mean Gene's the biggest podcast fan I've ever fucking met. And probably the biggest podcast fangirl I've ever met. Let's see. Great interview. Ivy is super interesting, right? Thank you, Mean Gene.
Oh, thanks.
As I said, nailed it. Because I also love potatoes. How many ways do you know how to make potatoes? Okay.
Like, I literally eat potatoes every way there is.
Well, how many ways can you cook them, though? That's what Craven's at. He's asking for potato recipes.
Well, I'm not a very good cook, so I'm not the person to ask for recipes. I just eat to survive.
Oh, okay. All right. Fair enough. All right. You're going to have to find your own potato recipes, Craven.
Yeah. The internet's probably a better source.
I appreciate you guys for saying all the nice things that you are. Thank you. Shock, you were nice or you were good indoors too. I wonder if you were allergic to the track. Can you see chat right now, Ivy?
No.
Okay. Well, you should open it.
I don't know how.
Just go to my link and then you should be able to watch the stream. Just make sure you mute it so it's not in your background. Guys, Ivy watches me on Twitch now. I turned her on to Twitch, and now she's watching other Twitchers.
I'm trying, you
Yeah,
guys. I don't know. Twitch is new to me. I'm like so old? Like I don't know. Slow brain.
Mean Gene says she keeping those Tato recipes mad secret, yo. Um, but yeah, guys, Ivy is also on our Discord. Do you reply to your comments a lot on your YouTube?
I don't get a lot of comments yet.
Well, y'all go
But
comment
if I
on our
get some,
shit.
I do reply
Yeah,
to the ones I get.
there you go. It was kind of like hay fever almost. Have you ever had hay fever, Ivy?
No, no. And all of my like what's that allergies, like for example dust and pollen, all of that type of like nasal allergies was completely eradicated by Chinese medicine. So I don't have
What?
any of that. That's like the thing I don't have.
You couldn't have said that on the fucking podcast. Jeez.
Well, sorry, I forgot. You didn't ask. You
I'm
didn't
just
ask.
I'm just teasing you. You're good.
Because I did almost 2 years of Chinese medicine. Uh yeah, and that's gone. So like flowers and stuff, almost. But lilies, I'm anaphylactic to lilies, so don't give me lilies, please. But yeah, other flowers, I'm fine.
When I think of Chinese medicine, I just think of opium, which is probably racist. I'm sorry. I'm just an ignorant person. But anyway, I also never knew about sports-induced asthma was a thing, and now I'm mad
Honestly,
because I let that shit cripple me when I was a kid. What, asthma or sports-induced asthma?
sports induced asthma, like I didn't know that was a thing either, and maybe it's not. My doctor might have just made it up. That doctor wasn't very good.
Craven just heard about the allergy thing. He was like, "What? No way! Fuck it, boys. We're going to China." No, no, not China. Taiwan, bro. Come on, man.
Taiwan, yeah, Taiwan. Although China does have Chinese medicine.
That. Wait, really? No way. Wait, that's what I meant to ask you. I meant to ask you this on the podcast. Uh, so China came out with that thing about like that propaganda about annexing Taiwan.
Uh-huh.
What was it like there when that happened? Like, did anybody talk about it? Was there a buzz? Like,
No, people don't really I don't know. It's a constant threat that there's like China looming over Taiwan
right?
all the time. But people there tend to be aware. They're very aware of what's going on. They're always aware of it. It is in the news like that things are happening or whatever China says is happening, but they don't really talk about it much. Um, they're just prepared for it, but they don't talk about it.
Wow. Huh.
It's a little bit it got a little bit more scary in the past couple of years when China really started kind of ramping up their dialogue about taking Taiwan back, quote unquote, taking it back.
Yeah.
um, and for I think the foreign crowd, it got more serious because we're hearing more in the news from our own home countries, and that gets a little bit scarier.
Yeah.
But in Taiwan itself, people don't really discuss it.
Interesting.
Hmm.
I wonder if it's like it almost feels like, I mean, I didn't live in this time period obviously, but I kind of wonder what it was like living with bomb shelters, you know? Like people had like literal like years supplies of canned goods and shit. Like that shit's fucking crazy.
Mm.
Okay, so Craven said just asthma period. I was basically starting little league and I was super excited, and then the doctor is just like, you have asthma when you get really active, so stop that. So I did. Oh shit.
Dang, that sucks.
Yeah.
See, I always hear other people's stories, and I'm always like, wow, that's what you're going through. And then, yeah,
And
it's
then you're
about my
like,
own story.
oh shit, I can't eat anything.
Yeah.
I also had a doctor diagnose me with fleas until she found out we had insurance, and then tried to get us for an actual appointment. Well, I mean, there's the class system at its best, right?
Right? Oh my god.
Holy shit, Chuck. That's
Did you
also,
end up getting diagnosed with the actual thing? Was it actually fleas?
I'm
That
pretty sure that
that's
probably didn't go to, they probably didn't go to that doctor again, I'm guessing.
I hope not. That's
Um,
horrible.
I had a bug infestation one time.
A what? Sorry?
A bug infestation on my body. Have you ever heard of chiggers before?
Yes.
Chiggers. I do not recommend that. That shit fucking sucked. Uh there's like the itchiest fucking thing ever, right? It's almost like I'd rather have chickenpox again than have chiggers because
I
they
had
get
chicken pox 3 times.
really?
Yeah.
Okay, you're going to have to tell me about that in a minute. Uh yeah, so chiggers, they like burrow into your skin. Not to, you know what? I'm gonna give you guys nightmares. I don't care. And the only thing that would fix it, I took a bath. I took an oatmeal bath. Um, I did all sorts of stuff, but the only thing that helped, and thank God for Google, because we all had it. Like we came back with that shit, and we probably gave it to
Wait,
people on
we
the
all,
plane
how many
too.
people had it?
Me, my dad, my mom,
Oh,
everybody
your whole
that came
family.
back from Texas. We
Dang.
went to my family farm, which I guess it's a thing down here. It's why I never go outside anymore. And they burrow into your skin, right? So it's like super itchy. It doesn't hurt or anything, but it can leave scars if you scratch it off or whatever. And they're like ticks that don't give you gnarly stuff. But the only thing that helped, and I don't even remember what this. It was like a paste, but I don't even remember what its original. I think it was like supposed to help with hemorrhoids or something. It's called Bordeaux butt paste. And once, like, we had this shit for like a week and we were going crazy. Just imagine, like, I don't know, we were like itching like meth heads, and this shit was like it was gone within like hours. It was just done. Like it smothered
Really?
them or whatever. They were out,
That's crazy.
or they didn't like the smell of it. I don't know. Like they were
Damn.
gone. But Bordeaux butt paste, if you ever get chiggers, y'all.
The
So
magic serum.
you had
I had chicken pox 3 times.
okay, go on.
I
Cuz
had it
I
as a kid, like in, really little,
right.
which you're supposed to like not get it ever again after that, right?
Right, yeah.
Then when I went to Taiwan, I got it again, and then I got it again.
Are you
So I had it twice when I was there.
are you sure it was chicken pox?
Yes, very sure.
Huh.
I don't
Now
know.
again, that's like I said, I believe you. I'm just like, what the fuck?
You
Holy
just reminded
shit.
me of like, you remember in 6th grade when we would go to the park every Friday?
Uh-huh.
I got poison oak one time, and
Uh-huh.
I had that shit for like months. Like it wouldn't go away. I just literally had poison oak for like so long. It was horrible. Anyways, sorry, you just reminded me of that.
Nah, you're good. I used to get poison oak a lot too. I don't know what poison ivy feels like, but
I don't either. I've never had poison ivy.
oh shit, I just fucked up the chat window. Whoops. Okay, let me fix
That's
this. There we go. All right.
This shock person says I'm allergic to dust mites and certain plants. Oh, they did get an answer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I'm glad you got an answer.
There we go. Sorry about that, guys.
And dust mites makes a lot more sense than fleas if you keep getting it over and over again.
No, wait. Is it still broken? No, we're good. Hold on. There's like a delay.
Oh.
Oh, nope, it's still fucked up. That's okay. I'll fix it. Now that we're not this is the part that doesn't matter as much. Unlocked. Wait, what is going on with this shit? All right. What is
I'm
happening?
doing all kinds of things over here.
I know.
Like watching myself like jump from thing to thing.
Yeah, hold on. I'll fix it. That's the problem with doing this shit on I don't know. Maybe just in stream here. Maybe the drunkenness is Okay. Well, this is a good time to end things. Thank
I
you.
was just gonna say I was gonna like talk to your people who are like
Oh, you're
commenting on
ready?
here. Hey,
Okay. Never mind. No, you're
I'm
good.
really happy to see all these people commenting. That's really nice of you guys.
Hold on. Let me fix your face first.
It's my face.
I don't know why it's.
This is kind of cool.
Yeah. Now you guys. This is.
Are we in the Twilight Zone?
Yes.
That's what it feels like.
I'm kind of like too drunk.
This is my first stream too, okay? And I'm like really nervous. I was so nervous about streaming, and I don't know. This makes me feel a lot better. Nice shoes. Oh, what do you have on the shelf over there?
Oh,
Why do you have shoes on your shelf?
I'll show you. Let me fix things first. Holy shit. Why don't you just answer questions real quick?
Not let him fix it, and let's just keep bugging him.
Screw you. Just kidding. Nice shoes.
A lot of minor allergies pop up in middle school.
There we go.
The really bad one that stuck was cats. Yeah, my dad is like allergic to millions of things, but just like that, where he has a really bad cat allergy too, actually.
Okay, I'm fixing it. It's working. There we go. There's my face. Okay. There we go. All right. I got this, y'all. I got this. Okay. Let's move this up a little. Nope, not like that. Hold on, y'all. I got this. Yeah. Okay. That's whatever. This is.
You got like half my face. What do you mean you got this?
Oh my! I'm fine. Hold on. Jeez, this is so fucking picky. No, I don't have half your face. You just need to lean down a little bit. That's
whole.
all.
Now it's whole.
Yeah.
Before it was just half.
Oh, because you were okay. Yo, Boozer, why does your shelf look so good? Thanks, guys. Maybe I should just show my shelf on stream.
Maybe it cleaned up a little bit.
Yo, I bought these.
Wait, now it looks weird though. Did you fix yours, or is it just delayed?
I got some fucking Venom chucks that I'm never gonna fucking wear, so I put them on my shelf.
Did someone make those for you? Did somebody make those for you?
Nah, I bought them on Etsy.
Ah.
I think they're like airbrushed or some shit. I don't know.
Very cool.
Shock got some answers. That's good. It's like a little private chat session here. I am gonna have to end streaming a little bit here because I promised some friends I'd play some games with them. I might go stream on Twitch too.
Really?
Are you serenading me right now, Craven, with some ludicrous? Okay, does anybody have any more questions for Ivy before I end the shit show part of the stream? Are we not bugging Boozer no more? Nah. I mean, y'all, lay it on me, y'all. Make fun of me. It's all good. I drank this whole bottle of wine, so.
Did you really?
Yeah.
What? I didn't even see you pouring it.
Yeah, because I was, right? So I didn't hold it up here. Was I supposed to go like that? All right, y'all, talk all the shit you want to. It's all good. Do it. Do it.
Well, this has been really fun.
Yeah.
Thanks
agreed.
for having me.
Of course. We'll have to do it again sometime. Maybe not. Yeah. But maybe not podcast. Maybe I'll just because before I would just do this on Twitch.
Yeah.
Just bullshit with people. So. Shock, you want to play for some Back for Blood? Should we murder some people or murder some zombies? I mean.
You have to teach me how to play. I don't know how to play any games, so I can't like join you guys when I'm like watching you. I don't know what you're doing. I don't understand. It's all like new to me.
Oh, well, that's fine. I mean, you know my community now. You can just ask questions if you want.
That's all. Wait, read this comment. In a non-weird way, thank you for helping me realize I have a thing for tough-ass women. It all makes sense to me now because that was inspiring but eye-opening. Oh, glad I could help.
Yeah, Craven's the best, dude.
Am I a tough-ass woman? That's pretty nice.
Yeah,
Thanks.
100%. But you're
Love
soft
that.
and you're nice too. You know, you're. Well, I don't want to say soft. That's probably not a good word. But like, tender. There we go. That's a good word. Yeah. Hell yeah. All right, guys. I'm gonna end stream. I might go stream on Twitch. My schedule will come out tomorrow. But I'm streaming with Hail Heidi, OTT with Mama D, and Bad Gamer Keen tomorrow. We're playing some Dead by Daylight, and then I don't know. Mandy might appear on that stream because Doomsday Cupcake couldn't make it, so I need like a fifth for part of the stream. We'll figure it out. Tougher than a $2 steak, as Jim Ross would say. Nice, good old JR. All right, y'all. I love you. Enjoy the rest of your night. I'm gonna chat with Ivy for a couple more minutes, and I don't know. I'll if I decide to stream, I'll let you guys know. Bye, Meanest Genus. It's good to see you here. Y'all don't do anything I wouldn't do. Look, we got 7 likes on this video. We're